My husband cheated on me. Do you guys think that it's a one-time thing? My husband and I have been in a relationship for 6 years. We got married 3 years ago. I am 24 female, he is 29 male. I thought our relationship was perfect. There was never any signs of anything being wrong. He came home on time every day and left for work on time every day. He was always affectionate, and I thought our relationship was perfect. But then when he was in the shower, I saw a notification on his phone. It was from a girl on Instagram that I'd never seen before. I then opened his phone with his passcode. He'd always been very open with me about his passcode and things like that, and I'd never checked his phone before because I didn't feel like I had to. When I opened Instagram, which I didn't even know he had downloaded, I found a bunch of messages to small influencers who posted revealing photos. I am in no way against them, but my husband was clearly flirting with them. His account had some photos of him with some heavy filtering, and his bio said he was 25 and single. I was shocked, obviously, and just kept staring at the phone. But I just couldn't stop looking. I took screenshots and sent them to myself with the username of the girls. When my husband came out of the shower, he found me crying and on his phone. He quickly realized what happened, and he started to comfort me and tell me that it was just a one-time mistake. I asked if he'd gone on dates and slept with any of the women. Then he got angry and started shouting at me that I invaded his privacy. He kicked me out of the house and I went to a friend's home. I'd never seen that side of him before. In 6 years, he'd always been so sweet and loving. Sometimes he'd get angry, sure, but everyone did, and I can't blame him for that. I know men have urges to cheat sometimes because it's just how they are biologically, so I don't blame them. I just wish he'd talk to me. My friends told me that I'm being delusional and made a good point about how he hadn't apologized yet. I thought I should post here after lurking for a while and ask for some advice on what I should do because I feel so lost right now. In the comments, forget about the cheating for 1 minute and focus on the fact that your husband kicked you out of the house for asking a question. He kicked you out of your home. Now go back to the cheating. Do you really want to be with someone who treats you so poorly? You deserve better. He kicked her out in a panic by being caught, and so he could do damage control. Erase/destroy all evidence that could be used against him. OP, you can do better than a man who kicks you out of the house when he's been unfaithful. Stop being afraid that you won't do better. You can and you will. And stop believing this lie that men have urges to cheat. They don't. That's just something that cheaters say to excuse their shitty behavior. You are young, leave, and rebuild your life away from him. He's shown you who he really is. The lying, approaching other women, screaming when he's been cornered, and throwing you out. You deserve to be loved by someone who would never do this to you. And now, on to the update. I read a lot of comments and advice people gave me, and I realized I deserved better than that. I deserved someone that loved me for me and wouldn't need someone else to satisfy them. But something about everything really bugged me. In the screenshot that I had, there was this girl. The girl was like the main person he texted and flirted with. She was 23, and I just felt so horrible because she seemed so in love with him. I found her Instagram and I messaged her. I thought that she deserved to know what happened. She was pissed when she found out what was happening, so I can stop referring to her as she. I'll call her Jay. Jay was clearly upset at the whole situation and kept apologizing to me. Then she asked if she could take me out for coffee to talk about this whole situation. I agreed because I was curious. So basically, we met up the following day, and I talked to her about my husband, and she told me about how they met and how long they had been dating. He went behind my back and dated her for 10 months. 10 months! Which was just insane to me that he managed to find the time in between without me noticing. But here's the kicker. He was still texting her. I quickly learned that Jay was a very vengeful person because she told me that she wanted to lead my husband on for me. She told me that she herself had been cheated on before and was not going to let another cheater get off the hook like that. Jay gave me a pep talk about how I'm a strong and powerful woman, and we need to stick together, which was, honestly, really refreshing. She said that she would continue to flirt with him and etc., and try to get him to let her come to our house. Apparently, he only met her at hotels or at her home, and then she'd get a bunch of glitter and throw it all over his stuff. Honestly, it made me laugh to think about that because my husband would be so angry. So I allowed her to do that because honestly, I don't care about any of my stuff that'll get damaged in the process. I wasn't a big spender, so I didn't have much, and I wouldn't be surprised if what I did have was already destroyed by him. I'll update you guys on that if you're interested. Update on my emotional situation. I feel a lot better than I did when I made this post. I still feel upset and I still have this feeling that it's my fault, but thanks to you guys, Jay, and the awesome friend I've been staying with, I feel a lot better. I feel angry and frustrated, but more exhausted than anything. I've gotten in contact with a lawyer, and that's a whole complicated process that I just don't want to deal with. I just want to be free of him. I feel disgusted with myself and betrayed. I mourn the relationship I had, but now that I look back on it, I was always tense and a sad shell. Sorry I'm rambling. Edit. Okay, so I forgot to mention in the post because I thought that it was obvious, but Jay genuinely had no idea that my husband was lying to her. I could tell how upset she was. It's the type of upset that you can't really describe over text. She was very apologetic to me about the situation and felt very guilty herself. Trust me when I say that she has no intentions of getting back with my husband. In the comments, don't trust Jay. She knew as well, and now suddenly had a plan all along to get back at a cheater that she's sleeping with. Sounds like she's trying to hurry and get you all the way out so that she can become the new wife. Men like your husband never change, and he'll do the same to her. OP replies, when I talked with her, she seemed like she genuinely had no idea and was very upset at the whole situation. I could really tell that she was genuine in her apologies. Messaging multiple women is not a mistake, Lamau. Right? His first reaction is, it's a one-time mistake. And then when she starts asking any questions at all, he just gets mad and defensive so he doesn't have to figure out how big that his lie needs to be. A 10-month-long one mistake. In just one sentence, OP revealed just how horribly naive and hoodwinked she is by her garbage husband. I really, really hope for her sake that Jay is being real and isn't just stringing OP along too. Honestly, I think she is very naive. The other woman, Jay, 100% knew the guy was cheating. In 10 months, you only meet at your place or hotels, like, come on. That added with the, oh yeah, I definitely want to help you out by continuing what we are doing, is definitely shady. Look at the ages. OP has been with her husband since she was 18. This is probably her only adult relationship. OP really needs to start saying soon-to-be ex. Dated someone for 10 months while being married to OP. There is no coming back from that one. It was a brief 10-month mistake. It has to be at least a year before it counts. But that's just how men are biologically. My husband is obsessed with my boss, and it's all my fault. I started this job about 1.5 years ago. I can't say what it is because I want us to stay anonymous, and our country is very small, so my boss would probably be recognized. The moment it started, I felt like I was in the right place. My boss, the owner of the company, is very cool and kind. She's self-made and she loves her job. She does lots of the dirty work herself that bosses who had 30 to 35 employees wouldn't have to do, but she just loves it. On top of that, we have a 6-hour workday. Our salaries are 20% higher than the market, and we have 7 paid vacation weeks a year. Her reasons? She appreciates us and she's getting richer anyway. I was so proud of working with a woman like her, so I wouldn't shut up about talking about her to my husband, especially in the beginning. My husband was as fascinated by her as I am until he met her in a company party last Christmas. She must have been beautiful when she was young. She could have been a model. I think his fascination became a crush or an obsession, or maybe worse, love. Now he follows her on social media. Her accounts are private, but he stalks her with my account. He also follows the company Instagram and likes every picture she's in. He asks about her all the time. She's a very private person, but when her divorce from her ex-husband was finalized in the beginning of this year, we all found out because he started showing up to work. He owned half of her company now, and he started to try to make changes in our work hours and salaries. We found out that her husband had cheated on her with a younger girl, who he also tried to employ in our company. She still works with us. She, probably lawyers involved, eventually convinced her husband to sell her back his share. We're still in this process now. My husband has followed all of this, and he is so sad for her. And so angry. How could anyone do this when they had a woman like her? If it was him, he would cherish her, love her, blah blah blah. Who leaves a woman for a girl? I got very angry and told him that all men prefer younger women if they could choose. He laughed at me and told me that only losers do that. The last drop was last Friday. We went out for a movie night and we saw my boss with a younger man. He looked to be in his mid-20s. My husband lost it. He didn't know that she dated younger men. He wanted us to say hello, but I refused and yelled at him to control himself because he looked pathetic. When we got home, he was frenetically going through her social media until he found the guy and he sighed in relief. The guy was her nephew, and we didn't see the whole company, but they were out with other family members. My husband was so happy, like a weight lifted off of his chest. I lost it on him. I started crying and yelling and told him that he was in love with her, and he was shocked when I pushed and kicked him out of our bedroom. I locked the door. He stood outside trying to calm me down and telling me he loved me and that I'm his girl and always will be. Then he said something that ruined me even further. It's not like someone like her would look my way anyway. I haven't slept since then. Why is he feeling like this? Is it love? Infatuation? She's too old for my husband, so what is it? And why would he think that he couldn't have her? He's very handsome and still young. She should feel lucky a young, handsome man likes her. And does he mean that I'm less than her to accept him? Or is it purely her money and status? He refuses to admit anything. And what can I do now? I love this job. I love the benefits. Thanks to this job, our life has improved, and we can afford more than just the necessities. I'm starting to hate my boss though, and I hate myself for idolizing her in front of my husband. Edit. Sorry this is getting longer, but I have spoken to my mother, sister, granny, and some friends about this, and about what happened last Friday, and they think that I'm making a big deal out of nothing. And now in the comments, you know your husband is at fault here, not you and not your boss. He is acting very inappropriately, and the things he said would make me feel very insecure as well. Put the blame where it lies, at his feet, for saying and doing the things that he has to make you feel this way. I would say either attend therapy together, or even separately, or just consider a break. You need time to evaluate this situation properly, and your family isn't being very supportive by dismissing your very valid feelings. I wouldn't be asking them for advice going forward. I get they are cheaper than a therapist, but they are clearly being biased. This is not your fault. Your husband is on the hook for this one. Quote, it's not like someone like her would look my way. It sounds like he's saying that if your boss gave him a chance and looked his way, he would probably jump at it. I understand why this is like the straw that broke the camel's back. You don't trust this as a reassurance of anything other than you are right to feel betrayed. This. Deal with husband and try not to take any of this out on your boss. She, hopefully, would most likely not look his way, not because of his age or anything else, but because he's married to her co-worker. The fact he got that upset seeing her out with a guy is beyond a red flag, and I would tell him that he needs to figure out who and what he wants. Unfollow her media, do not bring her up at all, and maybe even go to couples therapy. I also know that OP likes her job, but there needs to be some distance here, whether it's a change in jobs or a strict we don't talk about my boss type arrangement is up for you to decide. You need to keep your phone locked. Comments that he might make would look like they're from you, plus he has already learned things about her, like it was her nephew, like that wasn't his business. What else does he know about her that she didn't release to the public? Allowing him access to your phone is putting your job at risk. OP replies, he never comments or likes her pictures from my phone or on her private account, just the company's Instagram account. I have now deleted all of my social media. Do not have a baby with this guy. That will make it even harder to divorce this guy when you reach your breaking point over his obsession. Ditch the dude and keep the job. You're incredibly lucky to have the employer you do, and you likely won't find it again if you leave. My only takeaway is it makes me really sad you think 38 is old, and she would have been beautiful when she was young. Agree 100% as a woman in my 30s, but OP is only 26, and this is her coping. I could see a younger woman saying this. She's probably shook because she never perceived an older woman as any type of threat. And now, on to the update. I just found out that my husband, separated, is dating my boss. I don't know what to do. Hi, I'm in so much pain and I don't know what to do. I don't want to do something stupid while hurting. I got a lot of good advice last time I was here, so I don't know. Maybe you can help me this time too. So I went against my family and friends and asked my husband for separation. I felt like my heart couldn't take it anymore. My intuition told me that my husband wasn't all mine. This was shortly after the events at the movies. My husband was in total confusion. He said that I was making a mistake, making a mountain out of a molehill, but he moved in with his brother, however. We decided to start couples counseling too. It went well for the first 3 weeks or so, but my husband became more and more reluctant to participate, and sometimes he just cancelled on me last second. He stopped showing up this month, and he also stopped calling and texting me. I was even more heartbroken, but it just solidified that my intuition was right and I was doing the right thing, seeing as though he is not interested in working on us anymore. I chose not to quit my job. I still loved it with all the heartbreak, and I really needed the benefits. Like, I'm the only one who is having a 3-week paid vacation around Christmas and New Year. I never see my boss anyway, and she doesn't even know of my existence. My husband eventually stopped being active on Instagram, and I thought that it was normal because we were going through adversities, until yesterday, when his brother shared my husband's story of the night. My husband was in a restaurant holding a woman's hand. I could only see her hand. So my husband has just blocked me and my family and friends from seeing his updates. I commented, WTF? And this morning my husband called me, for the first time in a month, totally scared, and he started begging, please don't ruin this for me, please don't ruin this for me. I asked him, what do you mean? And he said, don't tell her about us. I didn't make that connection at first. It never crossed my mind even. That woman in the picture was my boss. I started crying and screaming at him. How could you do this to me? How could you tell me that this is all in my head when it's obviously all over your Instagram? He said it just happened. I dumped him, and he was single, and he just happened to find her on Bumble. He begged me not to ruin this for him. She knows he's in the process of divorce, but she doesn't know that he already knew who she was, or that she was the boss of his soon-to-be ex. They've been seeing each other for 6 weeks, about 2 weeks after I asked him to move out, and it is getting serious. He begged for a good 5 minutes, telling me how he hasn't been this happy in all his life, and that I shouldn't ruin his happiness, since again, I was the one who ended our marriage. I have been crying since this morning. I don't know what to do. I want to ruin him and his happiness, but I don't know if I have any right to do that, and I'm so worried about losing my job. Please help. Edit for new information. Okay. My husband has been calling me non-stop, and I have now answered him. He's panicking about me telling her everything, so he begged me to give him the chance to tell her himself. His words were, I never stalked her or creeped on her. I just fell for her and was scared that she would think I was creepy since you thought the same. Give me a chance to tell her the truth in my own pace, so at least she doesn't think that I'm a liar or a freak like you seem to think. He still swears they matched on Bumble. I didn't even know what that was until now, but it's like Tinder. I'm just devastated right now. He has no regards for me and my feelings. Everything he is thinking of is not to scare her away. When I told him this, he said that I was the one who left him. People fall out of love and that's okay, and it's no one's fault, and that I was in the right for ending the relationship, but I was the one who ended it all the same. Don't hurt us, and I promise to give you everything you want. She is happy with me, so don't hurt us. In the comments, wait, so they met in the company Christmas party? Does she know he's your husband? Girl, you need to talk to her. Look, don't worry about losing your job because if they become serious, do you think that your boss will still treat you fairly? There is a high chance that he will give a different story. Update us once you talk to her. Do this for yourself and be strong. OP replies, she probably didn't recognize him because he told her that she thinks they met on Bumble. As everyone else has said, you need to tell her. You need to tell her what happened in your relationship before and how he was constantly stalking her social media and the comments he made to your face as his wife before dating her about her. You can't double guess yourself. You have a voice. I see in the comments that you're really debating it because he thinks you did it because you're bitter. Of course you were bitter. You were in a marriage with someone you loved and vindictive. Who cares? He's an effing asshole. And you're also worried about her and what she might think. Please, you have a voice. Do not stay silent. None of this is your fault. It's all on your ex-husband. I hate seeing how women lose themselves because of what might happen. Look at what your husband did to you. Really take a step back and look at what he did. He doesn't deserve anything good. If I were you, I'd have told her a long time ago. And who cares what she thinks? Personally, I would find it disgusting that a married man was actively looking for me on social media and being angry for seeing me with someone else while he's married. What she decides to do is on her, but listen to me, if you read this comment, do not hide. Also, his behavior toward the boss? That's creepy. It's just creepy. I'd want to know if some dude was stalking me to the point that it broke up his marriage. That's obsession. It is not cute, it's gross and dangerous. He's begging so bad because everything he is telling you is a lie. From the moment he saw that woman, I think he wanted her and went about doing what needed to be done to get it. You asking for the divorce is exactly what he wanted you to do, and he took the actions to make sure that you would. That way, he could be guilt-free and put it back on you that you asked for the divorce. OP replies, according to him, he would never have pursued her if we stayed together, but I left him so he was a free man. He wasn't a free man. Separation doesn't mean he's bloody single. You guys were working on the marriage and going to couples counseling, so in my honest opinion, he cheated. And now on to the final update. So I talked to my boss yesterday on Monday after lunch. I told her everything. Basically how I was so happy that I found this job, how I looked up to her and was proud to be working for someone like her, and that this rubbed off on my husband, who grew more obsessed with her each day. I apologized for using obsessed because I didn't know how things were between them, but that it was how I perceived his feelings. I told her about the day at the movie and how it basically made me realize that our issues were greater than I thought. I told her that I know and accept that my marriage is over and that my husband didn't love me anymore, and that the reason I'm telling her now isn't to judge or blame her, but to let her know the whole story, because it's just fair that she knows that he has been following her life for over a year now. Because from what I understand from my husband, you're under the impression that you just matched with him on a dating app, I said. She was silent the whole time I was talking, just listening to me until I mentioned the dating app, and that's when she interrupted me. She said, "That's not how we met. He's been a patron at my gym for the past 6 months, maybe a year." I know her gym. It's the one across our workplace. She works out every morning before coming to work. I didn't know that he'd joined it because I knew him to be a member at the gym near our home. He has been, without telling me, working out just across the street from me every morning without telling me. She looked like how I felt, shocked. I apologized and told her that he has kept dating her a secret from me and that he begged me not to talk to her, telling me that he hasn't been this happy and so on. She didn't say much, just thanked me for telling her. Today, she asked if she could talk to me. She apologized for everything that happened and asked again if I needed any help. I said no. She thanked me again. When I got home, my husband was there. He had called me at least 50 times, but my phone was silent. He was crying, calling me bitter and vindictive and pathetic. He said I ruined his relationship and future. She is scared of him now, and it's all my fault. He wants me to tell her that he is not dangerous, nor is he a pervert. He wants me to tell her that I was the one who wanted a divorce and that people fall out and in love and it's nobody's fault, and neither is it creepy. He hasn't done anything wrong. He stayed faithful to me and would have stayed that way if I didn't kick him out. He asked me if I ever felt unsafe with him to make rumors about him being a stalker and a creep. I should tell the truth. I asked him to leave and that I'm starting the divorce, and from now on, he could only contact me once I got a lawyer through them. I have been crying since he left. We haven't seen each other for weeks, and he had no feelings whatsoever for me. He looked demented and full of sorrow, like a broken little boy. How could he change this fast? Before we separated, he held me and begged me to believe him and his love for me. Was it all a lie? My whole entire relationship? Good night and thank you for your support. This is a throwaway and I will be deleting it soon. I just thought that I would update you before doing that. And now in the comments, thank you for updating OP. I'm glad you got to tell your boss and that she listened to you. Now you know how much of a creep your ex is. He openly stalked her at the gym all year, and your boss is quite rightly scared. I just can't believe that he would have kept all that crazy inside himself if you had stayed together. I'm concerned for you, OP. You shouldn't be living alone while your ex is behaving so desperately. Can you have a friend come stay? OP, don't answer any of his calls. Save all messages and voicemails. That man is unhinged, and you and your boss should be careful. If this behavior continues, please look into getting a restraining order. Also, please keep your boss updated and show proof of any erratic behavior so that she can take the proper steps to protect herself. When the boss said, "That's not how we met," I low-key got chills. Absolute insanity. Same. As for the ex-husband, I wonder if he'll ever realize that if you have to lie to pretty much everyone who knows about the relationship and give them all different lies, then yeah, you're probably, definitely, a creep. He won't, of course, but really. Wait, what was his plan at the movies? He has already been stalking her and is known to her at that point from the gym, so if they met, he was going to reveal to her that he's got a wife in her company and reveal to the wife that he already knew the boss from the gym. He said that he saw someone with her and immediately had to know if it was a date. No logic, just raw, uncontrollable emotions. Nah, he didn't think. His brain stopped working when the boss had been seen with another man? That's what confirms to me it must have been an accidental encounter. No way he would risk being seen with OP in the boss's presence. Oh, I believe that it was accidental, but the wife said the husband wanted to barge on over and know who the younger guy was. He probably didn't think it through and was just jealous of the boss being with another younger guy and wanted to confront her. Obviously, any normal person would realize that would result in his world of lies crumbling, but he is clearly unhinged and delusional, so I would believe that he was just acting on impulse. Our next post is titled, "Am I the asshole for exposing my parents' favoritism?" My parents have always favored my younger brother. I was by no means unloved, but it was blatantly obvious who they cared about more. I worked a part-time job to get my first car, but my brother got one as a present. It wasn't new, but was much newer than my car. It was the same with just about anything else, like clothes, video games, and cell phones. I'm 18 and am taking a gap year before community college to work a full-time job and to save money for tuition. But a while back, I heard my parents talking about how much they were going to pay for my brother's tuition. I secretly recorded the conversation from around the corner and then came out asking my parents why they were going to pay for my brother's college but not mine. They didn't notice my phone was recording and just said that my brother needs more help. I asked how so when I wasn't getting any sort of scholarship and he likely wouldn't either. Then I asked a few more questions about why things have always been this way. They got mad, and my father told me that perhaps it's time that I moved out because they're sick of keeping a roof over my head. I pointed out I pay rent, but they didn't care. I left the room and in a fit of rage, uploaded the video to 2 different social medias I have, and I ranted about how this is how my parents have always been. Well, a few hours later, my parents were pounding at my door. My dad was screaming at me about how I made them look bad. We fought some more, and then they left the room fuming. My grandparents contacted me later and said they were appalled, and then came to visit with a lot of the family the next day. There was a huge family intervention, and my parents were made to sit on the couch and look at their feet while being told off. It was then I found out they'd been receiving money for years from my grandparents to help with family expenses. My brother looked like he didn't know what to do, so he sided with the rest of the family and said he's noticed how I'm treated as well. My parents gave me a huge apology that sounded forced. My grandparents have offered that I come live with them soon and will cut off the monthly payments to my parents. My father told me that I should have never told the rest of the family and now won't talk to me, and my mother has been crying for days. So I'm starting to wonder if I went too far. So am I the arsehole for exposing my parents' favoritism? In the comments, not the arsehole. Your parents are just pissed because people know the truth about them and they're no longer going to be receiving handouts from your grandparents. That is what they are really upset about, losing the free money. Go live with your grandparents. They sound awesome with how quickly they backed you. Not the arsehole. You didn't make them look bad, they made themselves look bad. And the rest of your family is fortunately smart enough to know that. Definitely go with the grandparents. They sound like good people. You should also check that you don't live in a place where secretly recording is illegal, like California. From the way you've described your parents, I wouldn't put it past them to go after you for damages, especially if your grandparents cut them off. Not the arsehole all the way. As someone who is cast aside because my parents favored my younger sibling over my brother and I applaud you loud and clear. Go live with your grandparents if that's what you want, or go stay with your friends. I have a feeling you're going to be just fine and excel at whatever career you choose. You didn't go too far, you conquered. In addition, you will make your family in the future. That's comforting. Quote, now I feel like if I move in with my grandparents, I may just be running away. Running away from what exactly? Your parents are extracting rent from you instead of helping you with college fees. Your grandparents are family too, and clearly care for you, which is more than you can say for your parents. Like damn, even the golden child noticed something was up and sided with the rest of the family. Not the arsehole OP. Go live in the safe and supportive environment you have always deserved. And now, onto the update. I decided to go ahead and call my grandparents to accept their offer to move in. During the phone call, I asked them why there was monthly payments being sent to my parents. Turns out, my parents were living beyond their means for a while because my mother quit her job to be a full-time stay-at-home mum. My grandparents decided to help out by sending them money monthly to help with my parents' mortgage and also set aside some of that money for college savings for both my brother and I that was to be split evenly. Turns out, my parents only planned to put that savings towards my brother's college, and that was also how they bought his car as well. So from now on, my parents are now on their own financially. Likely my mother will have to go back to work to help my dad keep up the mortgage. I confronted my parents and asked why they've always treated my brother as the favorite, then asked if there was something that I needed to know. Turns out, there was nothing. Literally nothing. I'm not an affair baby, not even an unplanned pregnancy. They just liked my brother more. I was mad as hell, and we argued a lot before I left the room because I'd had enough. My grandparents showed up on Saturday with a moving truck. My parents were floored when we started bringing in boxes to pack. My father got in our way, and I reminded him how he said that I should move out, so I am. My mother cried some more and said that my father was just angry in the moment when he said that, and they had been counting on my rent money to help with my brother's college fund. I asked if that meant he would never have to pay rent like I did when he turns 18. My father then said that since I was taking a gap year to work, that my rent money could have helped my brother, which means they never intended for him to get a job while going to college. My grandpa was enraged and confronted my father, saying he raised him better than this. He chewed him out, saying he has never been more disappointed in him and they will no longer receive any more financial support. Then said he would disown them both if they ever tried to retaliate against me for exposing them. My father backed down, and neither he nor my mother said another word to me. I had a bit of an awkward conversation with my brother as we said our goodbyes to each other. And that was it. I just got in my car, waved, and drove off. I'm now fully moved into my new room at my grandparents' house. It's a little smaller, but it's nice. My grandparents are very welcoming. I'm going to keep working hard to move forward from here, and I appreciate everyone's support. In the comments, quote, they had been counting on my rent money to help with my brother's college fund. At that point, any doubts you had should have disappeared. You were leaving forever, and their only thought is, but what about the money for us and your brother? Your parents are irredeemable assholes. Also, I really like your grandfather. OP replies, my grandpa is an incredible person. He is stern, but very nice, and I'll always be thankful for his support. I'm so glad that you got your grandparents, and please tell him that a very impressed internet stranger said I wish he would adopt me as his grandchild. My dad could use a good telling off like that. Holy hell, that was deservedly brutal. Congrats on escaping your parents, and I hope you have nothing but good things from here on out in life. I'm so sorry this happened to you. My dad's parents were just like this for absolutely no reason either. I'm glad your grandparents have helped you move in with them. Kudos to you for trying so hard to buy your own car, etc. Edit, OP should look at the comments about his credit and his parents opening it in his name. These are very important. And OP replies, thanks. It took a whole year of saving from a part-time job to afford the car, but I got a good deal on it, and it runs pretty decent. So this whole situation sucks, but there is a bright side here. You know the value of $1 and have developed a good work ethic. You know how to budget month to month, prioritize rent, and save toward big purchases. In a way, your brother is a victim of your parents too. He'll probably have a much harder time than you when he eventually needs to become self-sufficient. They are doing him a tremendous disservice by handing him everything because, as you well know, that isn't how the world works. OP replies, I agree with you there completely. Hopefully now that my parents will have to budget more and my mother will need to get a job again for the first time in nearly 20 years, my brother will see what it was like to live in my shoes. With you gone, it'll be interesting whether the favorite title and its corresponding support disappears. Your parents were counting on you to support their lifestyle and your brother's, and without that, he may have to start contributing. This is a good thing, but it'll seem harsh as he hasn't experienced this before. Your mum isn't going to be able to walk into a well-paying job after 20 years unemployed, and they needed you to afford their mortgage/living expenses. Without you there as a resource to be used, they may start to see him as one because they've done so much for him. Will they work themselves into the ground to maintain their favored child, or will their view of him change? It'll be interesting to see. G'day there guys, Marky here, and welcome back to another episode of r/relationship advice. Let's go. Am I the asshole for not inviting my stepmother and her daughter to my wedding? I, 24 female, am getting married next summer to my fiancé, Jay. My mum died when I was 7. My dad married Kay 4 years later. Kay has a daughter, E, 22, from a previous relationship. Kay and E are easily the most entitled, spoiled, and rude people I have ever met. They never treated me like family. Kay has done everything possible to push me away from the family. I haven't been in any family pictures since I was 14. I was never allowed on any family vacations or activities. Per Kay's request, my dad banned any family members from giving me any gifts for my birthday and holidays. She always hated me. I can't even remember all the times I cried because of the things that she would say to me. E was the favorite child. Whatever she wanted, they would get it for her. But for me, I had to work if I wanted something. School supplies? Work for them. My clothes don't fit anymore? Work for new clothes. E liked to break my stuff, and I would be grounded because I got mad at her. My last straw was when she cut all the pictures that I had of my mum. Dad found me crying, and when I showed him the pictures, he told me just to let it go. So I packed a bag and went to stay with my grandparents. I was only 17. Dad never came back for me, he never called or texted me either. He reached out to me when I was 20. He apologized and said that he wanted to reconnect. I told him that if he wants that, he will have to work very hard to earn a relationship with me, since he hasn't been my dad since I was 12, and in 3 years, I haven't heard from him at all. He said he will do anything to be my dad again. Since then, I've been low contact with him because I don't feel like he's putting in enough work into our relationship. I finished college last year, and he attended the ceremony, and after that, we went to spend the entire weekend together bonding. It was the first time that I felt like I had a dad in almost 13 years. I wanted my dad to attend the wedding as a guest, but I don't want K or E there. I talked to my dad about it, and he was okay with attending as a guest. My grandpa will be walking me down the aisle, but he was really mad when I said that I will not invite K or E. His reasoning is that they are his family, so that makes them mine too, and he doesn't want them to be excluded. He then said he will not attend if they aren't invited, so I said, okay, I guess then you won't attend my wedding, and our relationship is over since you are choosing them over me again. It is my wedding, and I don't want those disgusting people there. Do not contact me again. Go be with your perfect little family and just forget that I exist. You have practice on that. Goodbye. And then I blocked his number. Some family members reached out to me, and they told me that I should be the bigger person, and maybe the wedding could be what's going to fix our relationship. My grandparents said that it's my big day, and I shouldn't have people that make me feel uncomfortable there. Jay and his parents agree that I shouldn't invite people that hurt me just because they are legally considered family. So am I the asshole? In the comments, not the asshole. Your wedding should be one of your happiest days of your life. Your father has made his choice. You don't always need to be the bigger person anyway, but they are not even really asking you to do that. They are asking you to be a pushover and let your father and his wife and her child get their way. That is not being the bigger person. You are so much better off without. OP, I hope that you have a wonderful wedding, stress-free, and embrace your new family. I never understand be the bigger person. No, like, what's in it for me? It's almost always said to the person who has zero wrongdoing in a situation as well. OP didn't get any birthday or Christmas presents for years just because stepmom didn't want it to happen and threw a fit, which is only one of the many things that stepmom did, and yet somehow OP is still supposed to be the bigger person. Do that as a 24-year-old instead of, the people who are adults and have been adults for decades? Ugh. Yeah, like reading all the injustice and cruelty actually made my whole body tense up in a rage for poor little child OP. Not the asshole. Your grandparents are right. They have done nothing to deserve being invited, and why sacrifice your own happiness on your wedding day for them? Not the asshole, and I shudder to think of what they would do at your wedding to mess it up or make it about them. Exactly. Plus, I'm afraid that he would just bring them anyway. Yep. OP's dad has proven time and time again that he doesn't care about anyone except his cruel wife and spoiled stepkid. The day he decided to let them bully and alienate OP, he gave up his right to be in her life. She was generous enough to let him back in, and now he is wasting that chance. Not the asshole OP. I hope you have a great wedding with Jay and your grandparents, the people who deserve to be there. And now, onto the update. The situation has blown out of proportions. Kay's family has been blowing up my phone and sending me death/assault threats, and what's worse is that they have sent the same threats to my grandparents. I had a panic attack so bad when my grandma called me and told me, so I'm currently in the hospital. Joe's mum is with me, and Joe and his dad went to my hometown to bring my grandparents here because I'm honestly scared something may happen to them. I don't know what to do. This has turned into a nightmare. And before you suggest a restraining order, in my country, they won't give you one unless they actually hurt you. Joe's aunt has offered to have us move in with her across the country, and as much as we love our lives here, we will accept her offer. Edits. A lot of people keep asking why Kay and Ella want to come to my wedding when they clearly hate me. I don't think that they actually want to come. I think it's the fact that I don't want them there that makes them want to come. They're not used to being told no. Edits. I've had some comments saying that I should expose their tricks on social media, and I think I'll do that and tag all of them. I can update after I do that if y'all want me to. Thank you for all the comments and messages. Update. I posted all of the texts alongside the backstory on Facebook and Instagram, and I tagged them all. It's safe to say they aren't happy. Kay and Ella are now cut off by all her family because apparently they didn't know about how they treated me. Kay and Ella have been lying to Kay's family for years, pretending to be good stepmothers and sisters, and painting me as the cow that never accepted them and made their lives hell. In addition, my dad is offering me money to delete the post because his friends and boss saw it. Dad's friends refuse to talk to him, and his boss wants to see him first thing Monday morning, and I'm assuming it's to fire him because Dad's job involves public relations, and this is bad for their image. Now they're blowing up my phone with apologies and are begging me to delete everything. My dad is blaming Kay for all of this, and he's considering divorcing her in the hopes of saving his reputation. On another note, we accepted Joe's aunt's offer to move in with her, and we're thinking of making the move to her city permanent because, honestly, I'm in love with this place, and we may even get better paying jobs here. Anyway, tonight we're going to have a small party to celebrate my dad's life being ruined. Now in the comments, Daddo wants to divorce Kay to save his reputation, but not to save his relationship with his daughter. Kay, Ella, and Dad can F all the way off. He should have divorced her the minute she told him his own daughter shouldn't receive Christmas presents. I can't even imagine the conversation they had where Dad is like, "Yeah, that seems reasonable." It wouldn't have started with not giving his daughter Christmas gifts. It would have been a chain of favoring his wife and stepdaughter until by the time they got to Christmas gifts, his daughter was already alienated and he could not go along. But then he was only left with an angry, alienated daughter when his wife and stepdaughter leave. Abusers don't start off big. It sucks in both victims and enablers. Each step was just a bit worse than the last until he wasn't just enabling, he was an abuser too. At any point he could have chose his daughter, but he didn't. That is the really sad point. He could have at any point done the right thing. If he had, and had worked for forgiveness, his daughter likely would have, but he would lose his wife and stepdaughter. Now he's choosing money and loneliness, and that choice isn't likely to save him money. He deserves all the consequences that are about to crash down on him. Most abuse victims don't get to see the consequences crash down on their abusers. Don't forget that the stepsister destroyed all the pictures of her mom, and when her father asked her why she was crying, she showed him the pictures of her mother all cut up. He told her just to get over it. What a rotten, useless asshole. I hope we get a post-wedding update saying, Dad was fired, he's divorcing stepmom, daughter ends up being on drugs for a long time and gets cut off. Also, F this dad. Legit saw his daughter leave and never once called until he was bored or something, then was on track to having his daughter back and reminded her why she left. What an effing moron. Good luck, OP. What's with all these families always blowing up people's phones, calling them an asshole? Is this a thing that actually happens? I feel like this is the punchline in every bad Am I the Asshole that just instantly makes me think it's BS. When I first told my mum that I wouldn't talk to her anymore if she was screaming at me, I had over 200 texts and voicemails in like an hour and a half. I went to dinner without my phone. When someone stands up to a toxic person, they blow up and convince all of their friends to blow up at you too. They're called flying monkeys. The angry person usually sends them some lie or sob story, and they come in to defend that person or to help fix the relationship. I went no contact with my racist and abusive grandparents as an older teen, like literally when I turned 18 and my dad couldn't force me on an airplane to visit anymore. All of my cousins and uncles came out of the woodwork to berate me and my parents. It's an emperor without clothes situation. People get really emotionally invested in having a perfect, happy family, and anyone who doesn't just go along with the narrative is actively trying to destroy it. So yeah, I'm glad that it's not realistic to you, lol. It means you probably had a less dysfunctional family than mine. Our next post is titled, My 42 male, daughter 14 female, won't get an abortion. So I am a single father to my daughter. My wife passed away with excessive bleeding after childbirth, so it's just me and her. She's a fantastic young lady, always on honor roll, really good at basketball, and is a social butterfly. She doesn't see too much of me because I work 9 to 7, but I'm home for dinner, and she started getting really good at cooking something little for the both of us. Around Tuesday, I noticed that there was something off about her. She was a whole lot quieter than she usually is, and there was no chatter during dinner. Right after dinner, she went up to her room, even though typically we sit and watch TV together. I figured that it was just moody teenage hormones, except it doesn't stop. On Friday, I finally take her hands and ask her what was wrong. She looked at me and just burst into tears. She cried more, so I held her until she was ready, and that's when she whispered, "I'm pregnant." I was shocked, utterly and completely shocked. I kept on hugging her, but my mind had gone blank. So I took her upstairs and I tucked her into bed. I didn't think asking her about what she planned to do when she was so vulnerable was a good idea. I'd wait until she'd calmed down. Saturday, she came down for breakfast, and I sat her down and asked her what her plans were. She said under no circumstances will she abort the baby. It is her baby, and she plans to keep it full term. I then asked about adoption, and she said that she didn't want to, that she could care for it. I calmly explained that we were no way financially able to care for a baby, and who would take care of it during the day. I go to work, and she goes to school, and my parents, although were a big help in taking care of my daughter when she was younger, are too old to watch a baby. She suggested that she start online school, which I refused, saying I don't want to ruin her life. The thing is, I don't even want to consider adoption. I can't imagine her going through pregnancy and then labor, especially with what happened to her mother. I don't know if high-risk pregnancies are genetic, but if she has one, what if I lose her? I told her this, and she asked me if I had no love for my grandchild. But I don't. I don't care at all about the clump of cells in her uterus. I care about her, the girl I raised. I told her today that she had to abort her child. She cried, screamed, begged, telling me to reconsider, telling me that she would run away. There is no way that I'm letting her give birth. She could tear her body apart, and for school, I don't want her to face the stigma and hurt of teen pregnancy. At this point, I only see one way out of this, and that's telling her that if she doesn't abort it, I am kicking her out. It hurts me so much to do this, but if she doesn't do one, I'm afraid her life will truly be over. I won't actually, but I'm hoping it'll push her in the right direction. I'm pretty much manipulating her, but how do I get out of this? Where do I go from here? In the comments, firstly, take her to the doctor to double-check she's actually pregnant and have her doctor talk her through the risks on such a young pregnancy. Second, who's the father of this pregnancy? And OP replies, I'm going to try and get her to tell me. I haven't gotten it out of her yet. She's in her room right now and hasn't talked to me for a while. Honestly, at this point all you can do is support her, otherwise you'll end up losing her. If you support her and be there for her, she might change her mind when the reality sets in. Hell, she might not even be pregnant. What if she had sex once or twice, and then stress caused her to skip her period, and now she's just jumped straight to, oh crap, I must be pregnant. That's why she needs to go get checked by a doctor. OP replies, getting her checked first thing tomorrow. Already made an appointment. As someone who had their first child at 14, I would highly recommend against it. It's hard. So effing hard. My pregnancy was the result of abuse and having no family, which added a whole other layer, but even if I had have had a support network, it still would have been hard. There is nothing about going to school whilst looking after a newborn. Forget having any sort of social network or sense of normality. Your new normality is never having a second to yourself because you're either there for your baby or trying to get an education. It doesn't get easier as your child gets older, as raising a child is never easy, especially when you are one yourself. I am now 25 with an 11-year-old, and though I love him, I've never gotten to have my own experiences or be my own person. I've never traveled, I've constantly had to worry about getting a stable career so I can provide for him and myself. I can't maintain friendships because I've always been in a completely different stage than my peers, and older parents want nothing to do with a younger one. If I could go back and make different choices, I would. A child having a child is never a good decision. And now, on to the update. So today she didn't go to school and we went to the local clinic to get her checked out. It's been confirmed. She is definitely pregnant, about 13 weeks along. Everything's fine so far, but she's automatically high risk because she's a teenager. They said she could develop anemia, low blood iron, or low blood pressure problems, and on top of that, the baby could also be born with disabilities. After the doctors, I took her out for ice cream and then asked her who the father was. I told her that I had to know. She had to tell me. She refused, saying she would raise the baby on her own without his help. We went home and she went to the bathroom and accidentally left her phone open, so I took it and I looked through her messages. According to the ones between her and her friends and her and the guy, he's 15 years old and is a friend of a friend. She hadn't told him yet. I wrote down his number and then messaged him on my phone, telling him that I was daughter's name's dad, and I needed him to give me his mother's phone number because of a big problem. I expected something of a fight, but the kid messaged it back to me. So I called his mom and I told him my daughter was pregnant, and her son was the father. She asked if I was sure, and I said based off the texts, it didn't seem like she'd had sex with anybody else, but she'd be free to get a paternity test. I said that it would be best if we got together at a coffee shop or something to talk, but she said there would be no need of that. She said her son would be waiving his parental rights, and they were not interested in a co-parenting situation. I asked about child support, and she said that her husband would pay it, but her son would not be involved. She asked for me not to tell her about any more details of the pregnancy, and they don't want to be at any appointments. She hung up before I could say anything else. Now I don't know where I stand. I can't afford a lawyer, and I don't think that I can make him get involved either way. I don't entirely trust them to be accommodating in terms of child support, considering how short his mother was. Is there any way they could get out of paying it? I don't know enough about the family, but if they have money and we don't, what's happening there? My daughter is no closer in getting an abortion or considering adoption, but I'm going to stop peppering her with it now. My sister and her are talking right now at the suggestion of another Redditor, and I hope that a female influence will work better on her than I am. She's sending a little bit of money, and I think I may be able to set up a therapy appointment for her to talk out her options in a professional way, something my sister and I can do. In the comments, generally speaking, court-ordered child support isn't something that you can just get waived, minor or not, once paternity has been established. It's also in most jurisdictions, costs you absolutely nothing, and whether he wants to be involved or not, it's enough of a hassle that his future tax returns and paychecks will be garnished to pay his support obligation. Yeah, you're going to want to get a lawyer who specializes in family law to help you out with this part OP. If they refuse to actually pay, despite what the mother of the boy said, the lawyer can help you pursue a paternity test and get a petition for child support rolling. I'm not a lawyer, but I frequent the law advice subreddit. It might be worth asking for advice on this there. I'm not sure if this is of any help, but I was adopted at birth because my mother had me at a young age. I can't even imagine the life that my birth mother would have had if she had kept me for herself. She ended up going to college, and she has a very good career and a wonderful family of her own that she loves, as do I. I was adopted into a very loving family. And honestly, it was best for me and my birth mother in the long run. My birth mother and I never ended up struggling financially as much as we would have if she were to have kept me. I keep in touch with my birth mother and her family, and they are wonderful people, and I love them dearly. But I also love my adopted family as my own. If she's worried about aborting the baby, please have her consider adoption. I am extremely pro-choice, but in your daughter's situation, it seems that she's not budging. She will still be able to be in contact with the family and her baby. My family was required to send my birth family updates constantly. As someone who was adopted, I never struggled with the idea of being adopted because I was let know of it at an early age. It didn't affect me, and I am thankful for that. By all means, it is ultimately her choice. I am very pro-choice, and I do not think that adoption/going through with the pregnancy is always the answer. And OP replies, "Thank you so much for sharing. I'm really hoping her child will have a good life, but in the end, that is not my greatest worry. It is her herself. That's why your story is really heartwarming. Maybe if she gets an open adoption and stays in touch, they'll both be happy." Most importantly for a 14-year-old, Normal teenage life just ends. Having friends, having hobbies, saving up for the latest fad, or just hanging out. All of these get thrown out the window. And now, on to the final update. I last posted about a week ago. She decided to keep the baby, but for a while she had been complaining about cramps and backaches, which we were told by the doctor will be expected and normal. I think they were a whole lot worse than she let on, but she didn't tell me. Around 1:30 a.m. last night, the bleeding started and we went straight to the hospital, where we were told that she had miscarried. They said that it was a late miscarriage, which happens after 13 weeks but before 20. As soon as she found out, she lost it. She started screaming at me, "Are you happy now?" and just cried and cried. She had a DNE, dilation and evacuation, and the doctors kept her to look her over and understand why it happened. They said that it was about a weak cervix, in which basically, as the baby grows and pushes on the cervix, in some women, the pressure causes the cervix to open before the baby is born, which can result in an early labor or a second trimester miscarriage. According to the doctor, most late miscarriages are because of that, and they don't typically check for it during pregnancies, which is why it's not usually diagnosed until after the miscarriage happens. The doctors told us her body will recover fairly quickly from it. She will need some bed rest for some time, but she will be fine. Her emotional state is a whole other problem. She wouldn't let me hold her while she cried, and she screamed at me for a while after she woke up from the DNE. She kept on saying how it was my fault, and I must be delighted that this was happening to her. I told her over and over I was so sorry, I loved her, it was no one's fault, but I may as well have been talking to a wall for all she cared. All night long she cried, wouldn't eat, and couldn't sleep. Today she was a little better and had some lunch, except outside of her room a pregnant woman, not a patient, I think a visitor to the child next door, walked by, and she broke down again. Right now she's in an absolutely horrible emotional state. I'm so worried about her. I'm terrified that she'll do something to herself. She'll be wounded beyond repair, and she'll probably hate me forever. I can't even begin to think that this was a blessing in disguise, which is what my sister told me over the phone today. There is no more baby, but there is so little left of her now. How do I help her? Edit. I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to reply to any comments before it was locked. It's been a busy day. I just want everyone to know, thanks for taking the time to reply. Therapy is a must. I'll take a look into cheaper options, but I'm thinking of reducing my hours, which may be kind of counterproductive, but she needs me. For those saying she may try to get pregnant again, I don't think she will because of the incompetent cervix issue, meaning if she does, she knows it'll probably end in miscarriage. We'll be looking into getting that treated as well. For those of you saying this post is fake, trust me, I know how it looks. It seems awfully convenient. I don't know what to tell you, but it's not. I had some time while she slept for a short amount of time, which is when I posted. Nobody was picking up at that hour, and I had to get advice from somewhere. So thanks, Reddit. This will be my last post, and I just want to thank everyone who reached out to me. And in the comments, so sad. I hope they're doing better now, and the daughter is graduating high school this year. I hope he got her some therapy. Sounds like a pretty traumatic experience all round. Miscarriages usually are, and it's something that isn't usually talked about, even though it's extremely common. On top of the physical event itself, hormones make it so much worse. I miscarried around 10 weeks. Up until that point, HCG levels increase about 50% each day, and then drop to nothing when you miscarry. I was so dysfunctional. It felt like I was trying to walk through jello. This poor kid has gone through a lot. She never even had a mum. Poor dad hasn't even realized that the likely reason she clung on hard to want to raise the baby is because of this. Losing a baby is also traumatic, but the fact she already lost her mother in childbirth is something that should not be neglected about this poor girl's emotional state. One of the private high schools brought their health class, all girls, to our hospital to watch a childbirth. It's a religion-based private school with one of the church members consenting to allowing the class to witness the birth of her child. That made an impression on every one of those girls. Young teen girls are often misguided by TV and movies, portraying the experience without the hard realities. Even the show Call the Midwife shows the midwife just reaching under the sheet and pulling out a baby, and then everyone's happy. Real life is so much harder. I'm all for this being a regular part of sex ed. Yeah, STD pictures are scary and all, but it ain't crap compared to giving birth. Add in some women talking about their lifelong issues too. Am I the asshole for taking my niece to court over a coat? I, 28 female, have a niece, 16 female. She is my only sister's only child. 2 years ago, I married a very wealthy man, 34 male, and because of the pandemic, last Christmas was my first with my in-laws. My mother-in-law gifted me a coat that is worth more than $20,000. I saw her wearing it, asked where she bought it, and she said that it'll be my Christmas gift from her. I didn't know how much it was. I knew that it was expensive, but I thought that it was maybe $3,000 at most. I was visiting my sister last January when my niece saw it. She Googled the brand and showed me how much it really was. I won't lie, I didn't wear it after that because I was afraid of ruining it. Last week, I wore it while visiting my sister. While I was putting it back on to leave, I felt something go splat on my back. Then my niece started cackling and the smell of paint hit me. I was so pissed off while she was not apologetic at all. Her mum screamed at her and said that she was grounded. Then she said she will pay for the dry cleaning. While I was in my car, still in shock by the way, I got an alert that my niece posted a reel. It was of her doing a prank on me, and she said, "I'm going to hit my aunt's $20,000 coat with a paint-filled balloon to see how she reacts." I saved it on my phone, sent it to her mum, and told her that a week's grounding is not enough. She did not reply, but I saw that my niece took it down. It got less than 5 views by then. The next day I found out my coat cannot be saved, so I called my sister and told her that her daughter had to pay it back. Well, we got into an argument, and she said that she will not be paying it, and if I wanted a new one, I should get my husband to buy it for me. I think that they should pay for it, as they can afford to. In my opinion, they should sell my niece's car and pay me back my money. We did not reach an agreement, so I told her that I will be suing and reminded her that I have video evidence that her daughter, A, did it on purpose for online clout, and B, knew exactly how expensive it was. People in my life are not objective at all. I have some calling me an asshole, some saying they are assholes for not buying me a new one, and some so obsessed with the price of the coat that they are calling me an asshole for simply owning it and wanting a new one. So, am I the asshole? Edit, sorry for not making it clearer, but my coat was bought new, just identical to my mother-in-law's. In the comments, not the asshole. She ruined a $20,000 coat. She wasn't even apologetic. For a prank video. For a 16-year-old, she's acting a lot like a 6-year-old. Welcome to 2022. It's nothing new, but teens just didn't publicly document all their idiocy back in our day, so there wasn't evidence like there is now. I disagree. 6-year-olds are rarely that mean and destructive. This girl knew the value of the coat was extreme and deliberately set out to destroy it, record it, put it on social media, and gain attention from it. That's a crime, and it's not going to be a misdemeanor with a $20,000 value. When you call the lawyer, ask him to help you go to the police station and press charges on the attention-seeking niece. Ask the lawyer to make sure to notify you when your niece will be arrested. Go film it and put that on social media. Maybe then she and her parents will learn that if you deliberately destroy someone's property, you replace it. I think it's a real-life consequence to press charges or pay for the coat. Since it's family, I think both are overkill. I would either let your sister know the niece can pay you back or you will press charges. Simple as that. I would personally frame it as a teaching moment rather than revenge. If they or she can't afford it, I'd say charge the new one, and she needs to get a job and make payments with a contract in writing of how much she gives you every pay period. And have it include interest. Parents could do this as well. It's probably going to take the kid 3.5 years to pay it back. That kind of long-term debt will be a wake-up call. Not the asshole. This is a really good way for your niece to learn that actions have consequences and hopefully will serve her well in the future when she's older. And your sister seems to need that lesson too, sounds like. Just have your husband buy you a new one is not an appropriate reaction to your kid destroying a $20,000 item. OP replies, exactly. He's my husband, and even I don't feel comfortable asking him to drop that kind of money on something frivolous, while she's comfortable doing that? I just gotta ask, what kind of coat was it? I'm dying to know. A Chanel? Gucci? Limited Burberry? Balmain? OP replies, Loro Piana, a brand I haven't ever heard of before I got my coat. And brace yourself, but apparently it's not even that expensive by rich people standards. My husband was talking about a blazer with gold, as in real gold, buttons. It was a gift he received from his grandpa from some tailor in New York City. Holy crap, I just saw a $34,000 coat, and you're saying that that brand isn't that expensive to them? Jeez, I just cried in paw. OP replies, before I met my husband, I thought I was doing well for myself. Then I entered his world and found out the real difference between rich and wealthy. My sister-in-law was having a pregnancy craving while staying with us. I was less than 6 months into this whole relationship. My reaction was to grab my keys to get her what she wanted, as my husband was busy. She just looked at me weird and said, just call the concierge. This is what they're paid to do. It was a mind-blowing moment for me. Loro Piana is high-quality fabric luxury, not trendy designer luxury. Assuming it can be replaced, sometimes production is limited, you can wear that coat for the next 40 years and hand it down to your daughter if you have one. I do not have a budget for luxury clothing. If I did, a Loro Piana overcoat is on my wish list. This is something fewer and fewer people understand. There is paying for a label which is frivolous and dumb, then there's paying for a quality and longevity which is far from either. This is in Sam Vimes's Boots Theory territory. And now, onto the update. So here's a quick update, since the situation has been resolved. When my husband got home, I told him what happened and I showed him the video. He asked if I spoke with my brother-in-law and I said no. All my conversations were with my sister. He said that he'll take care of it. Now, a disclaimer, I understand nothing when it comes to insurance claims. And this is what my husband told me, / I understood happened. My husband talked with my brother-in-law and told him exactly what happened and showed him the prank video. Then he told him that the coat was insured. We will be filing a claim and submitting the video, and we might have to file charges for the claim. He assured him that we would be dropping the charges. We do not want to send niece to jail. Then he told him that one of two things might happen. After our insurance pays us, they will come after them. If their insurance pays, their premium will skyrocket. If it doesn't, they might sue them, and they might get a lien on their house. My brother-in-law asked if there was a way that he could pay us without involving insurance. My husband told him that that was what we wanted at first, but that my sister insisted that they will not be paying us back. Apparently, my brother-in-law was not in the know, and he was very pissed off at what my niece did and my sister's response. So they came to this solution. My niece's car will be sold, and if it doesn't fetch the whole compensation money, she will have to get a job and pay me the whole check until it is paid off. Also, she is grounded for the rest of the school year. I am thankful for the people who encouraged me to talk with my husband. In the comments, that's a fair outcome that avoids lifetime-level consequences for the niece and still stings hard enough to make the point. Communication is always a good place to start, and I'm very glad your brother-in-law stepped up to handle the situation appropriately. Agreed. The niece did a stupid, screwed-up thing and needs to feel the consequences, but she doesn't deserve to go to jail over that. Being grounded, losing her car, and possibly having to work to pay it all off is a reasonable punishment. What an excellent resolution. Thanks for sharing it. Your brother-in-law is a very good man. I hope your sister realizes how lucky she is to have a man with integrity. Hopefully your niece is getting a timely life lesson that helps her future adult self understand more about life consequences. Exactly. Having her car sold, getting a job, and being grounded seem like appropriate punishment the sister should have concluded in the first place. Glad the brother-in-law is level-headed and was able to come to this agreement. Hopefully sister doesn't override brother-in-law. I don't think she can. Insurance litigators are real assholes, so overriding her husband basically means either paying more premium or going to court with a lawyer, and even bad lawyers are $250 an hour cheapest. This post reminds me of how poor I am. I think twice about what groceries I buy. A $20,000 coat would have me anxiety sweating constantly. I don't think I've ever spent $20,000 on clothes in total for my life so far. Our next post is titled, "My friend is planning to cheat on his future partner to see if he feels guilt over cheating." My friend, 18 male, has recently announced to our friend group that he is planning on entering a relationship with a coworker, 18 female, and plans to cheat as soon as possible. The only reason he wants to do this experiment is to see if he can feel guilt over cheating. He has been acting on this plan for months to form a deep connection with her beforehand to deepen the blow. Doing so, he discovered her current mental instability and her recent acts of self-harm. We expressed we didn't support him and asked him what will happen when she finds out. He doesn't care if he gets caught or any of the consequences that may happen to his mentally unstable coworker if he does get caught. I asked him about the situation again to see if he changed his mind about it, and he said that he's going to commit to the plan. He even brought up a weird Overwatch comparison and said that Moira did unethical experiments on Reaper for the betterment. For reference, Reaper states that he now lives in constant pain because of her weird-ass experiments. Regardless, he does admit that what he is doing is wrong, but still wants to do it. In general, it's just this whole situation is uncomfortable and gives me a shitty feeling. It was only made worse when he started making jokes about her offing herself. I don't know what to do, and am unsure about how to go about the situation. In the comments, "Dear God, please tell his coworker what he's planning and cut him off. He is clearly a crap person. If you have texts from him about this, take screenshots and send them to her via Instagram or something. She does not deserve to be hurt for the sake of his twisted experiment, and you shouldn't be friends with someone so eager to do something so overtly cruel." Informing the coworker with proof is priority number 1. You need better friends. You are going to be judged by the world for keeping company with someone like him. Don't be a bystander to some sociopath's sadistic wet dream. Tell this poor girl. Also, you should remove yourself from your friend if you don't want to feel guilty for being associated in any of his future shenanigans. I just... Quoting Overwatch? Seriously? It's his Joker moment. What? So unhinged. Oh my god. Tell the coworker if you feel that you are safe and she is safe. Do it in private and be respectful. If she still goes with it, then that's her problem now. Stop being friends with that guy. He sounds like a cold and heartless person. And now on to the update. My friend found the post before I took action and read all of your comments. He texted me in the morning asking me about it, and I confirmed that it was about him. He told me that the post, the comments, and our friend group discouraging him made him regret his plans and anything he has done with her to help further it. The only problem is that although he doesn't want to do the experiment, he still wants to be with her for a short time, specifically for sex. I told him there is no point hanging around with her anymore and to disconnect himself from her. He resisted to the idea, but eventually agreed to it and asked to stay in our friend group. We as a group refused, and we decided to cut him off. We told his coworker about the situation and advised her to tell HR and to move on from him. We also told her that if she needed evidence against him to contact us, and welcomed her into our group if she wanted to join us. Thank you all for your advice, and for all of your comments that changed my ex-friend's mind. If there is anything I should consider before moving on, please tell me. In the comments, what an effing psychopath. Seriously, dude wanted to see if he felt guilty from cheating, completely ignoring the fact that him coming up with this whole psychotic plan in the first place already should tell him everything he needs to know about himself. Yeah, it's like he's made it clear he doesn't give a crap about her. Why does he think he'd feel any guilt? He just wants to hurt her. I just want to know what kind of mental gymnastics were happening in his head to get him to continue doing this, since I never had these thoughts as a teenager. This is the first time I've ever seen Overwatch used to justify cheating just to see. Nah, man, you don't get it because you're not a pro gamer. I've been playing a lot of Hearts of Iron 4 recently, and I'm planning on using my vacation days to invade Poland just to see. Dollars to donuts, this guy commits some heinous crime in the future just to see how it feels. I'm willing to bet that it's already happened. Nah, only skinned some animals in the woods so far, no red flags at all. Our next post is titled, Am I the asshole for allowing my 8-year-old daughter to shave her head? So this past week, my 8-year-old daughter has been begging me to shave her head. This just started after a 17-year-old cousin did it. I have always considered myself a supportive mum and let my kids do whatever they want, within reason of course. She had extremely long, blonde, gorgeous hair just like I do. She was fully aware that I was going to support her decision, school was cancelled for the rest of the year, and she won't go back to school until August, possibly September, so her hair will have time to grow out. So last night, I got out my husband's clippers and shaved her head for her. She smiled the whole time, and she loved the end result. The next day, I took a photo to send to my mum, and only my mum. My mum decided to forward it to a bunch of other family members who got back to me. 90% of them agreed that I'm the asshole for not saying no to her and setting limits for her, and also told me that I'm setting her up for bullying. Here's the thing. It's literally her hair, and it will grow back. She knows, I asked her if she regretted it, and she is extremely happy that she did it. As for bullying, she knows how to stand up for herself, and that hair doesn't define her beauty. I personally don't think I'm the asshole, but I want to know everyone else's views on this. In the comments, not the asshole, although her hair probably won't grow as fast as you think it will. OP replies, Of course I don't expect her hair to be long by the time she goes back to school, but at least long enough to style. Her hair grows pretty quickly. Not the asshole. As it grows out into a longer pixie cut, there will be a weird mullet phase that people don't seem to talk about. That was the part that I always hated when growing out my pixie cuts. Props to you for being supportive. I loved that phase. It went from all over number 3 to 90s wet otter lesbian hair to cute pixie to the main character from Hotel Transylvania to Beatles Mop to Johnny Ramone. Beatles Mop and Johnny Ramone were my faves. Very cute grunge. Not the asshole. I do think it's important to help your kids understand what they're doing and what the consequences of their actions can be, so they avoid acting impulsively. But I think you did just that. On the bright side, she's saving money that would have gone to the shampoo and conditioner bill. OP replies, Great point about the cost of shampoo and conditioner. She is really happy with her shaved head, and she might do it again, so that will keep costs down for a while, hopefully. Whoever said you failed to set limits scares me. If they think that they need to set a limit over something like this, I hope that they don't have their own children. People's obsession with hair and needing it to conform to some kind of socially accepted norm has always been baffling to me. It's literally just hair, and it's purely aesthetic. Who cares what other people's preferred style and taste is? I literally don't get why anyone would care, but an alarming number of people literally think that they deserve a say in other people's hairstyles and think it's okay to really harshly and meanly judge other people for the crime of having an unconventional hairstyle. It's messed up. And now, on to the update. So many of you guys said that I am not the asshole. The people who told me that I was the asshole said that because she would regret that decision. We shaved her head almost a month ago. Just a few nights ago, she asked me to shave it again for her since she really liked it, and I was more than happy to do it. I do plan on buying her a wig or two off Amazon before she goes back to school in case she regrets it and wants to wear it to school but take it off at home. I just want to make it clear. My husband's side of the family, her dad, was fully supportive. After all, her cousin inspired her to do it. I'm also spending less on shampoo and conditioner as she had super long hair. As for my side of the family who was upset about it, some of them had a change of heart after she talked to them herself and told them that she was really happy with her decision. The other few think that she was forced to say she was happy, but I don't care. My mum, who was the one who forwarded the picture to my family, apologized. She told me that she did it because she thought that she looked adorable, but should have asked me first. But she was supportive of us. My daughter wants me to let everyone know that if you really want to shave your head, just do it. According to her, she really loves the way that it feels on her pillows. She has silk pillowcases, and she liked the feeling of the shower and the rain on her head. In the comments, my wife shaves her head occasionally after doing it the first time in support of a friend going through chemo. Just be extra careful about sunscreen and/or hats now that summer is coming, just because bald heads burn super easy. I also shave mine, so I know this from experience. I realized I was starting to get a bald spot on top of my head only when I got a nasty sunburn one summer. It hurt like hell, especially putting a t-shirt on and off. I don't get why we don't let kids have regrets. Maybe you shave it and she hates it. That's life. It's hair. It grows back. People get their knickers twisted for the weirdest things. This is exactly the right answer. What's wrong with the kid regretting it? The mum already got her a wig, and then she'll have learned a great lesson. And hey, maybe she'll love it and she'll discover more about herself. Literally, all I see are upsides. I wish more parents adopted this attitude for small, non-consequential things like hair and clothes. When I was young, I wasn't allowed to grow my hair because, per my mum, I had long hair before. I regretted it, so I know that you would too. I wasn't allowed to color my hair either. Well, guess what? Since I reached adulthood, my hair has never been short, and more often than not, it's in some colorful shades. I have not regretted it either yet. Let kids experiment within reason. It gives them a sense of bodily autonomy, and if they regret their decision, well, at least they'll learn from it. My wife's surprise stopped me from committing the biggest mistake of my life. So I, 33 male, and my wife, 29 female, have been together for 6 years and married for 2. She has a childhood friend, Dave, 30 male, who is dating Tessa, 27 female. 4 of us are in the same city, and Tessa is also my colleague. Same department, and I was the one who set them up. My wife and Dave call each other soulmates, although I've never had any problem with Dave as I trust my wife, and my wife isn't the one to cheat. They have been super close for the past 3 weeks, up to the point that they were whispering into each other's ears, giggling, and every time I'd ask her what's funny, she would just casually shrug and shoo me away, saying that it's a secret. She would whisper talk to him in the other room, which she never used to do, and she has been frequenting her visits to the cafe. Dave owns and runs a cafe. The 4 of us go on double dates from time to time, and there is also the same situation. They just talk to each other in signs, smile knowingly, and then start acting normal when they'd see me and Tessa watching, and I knew for sure that it bugged Tessa too. Also, my wife and I used to have a healthy sexual life, which decreased from several times a week to once or twice a week. All of these and her staying away from me and keeping secrets really strengthened my suspicions. Last week, my department had to go on a business trip for 5 days, 3 states away from our city, and I had informed my wife about this 3 days prior. She seemed upset at first, but later after a quick visit to Dave's cafe, she returned with a smile. And that upset me more. Also that night, I overheard her and Dave talking and planning to go somewhere together. She was surprised to see me there and cut the call abruptly, and I acted like I didn't hear a single thing, although I was fuming and plotting inside. I went on the trip as casually as I could with Tessa and the 2 other colleagues. Our company had provided us with separate rooms with room service. My mind was filled with revenge plans, and I decided that if she, my wife, was enjoying herself, why couldn't I a little? The city we went to is famous for its nightlife, so my plan was to complete my work for the day and to go out and most possibly bring a girl to our room, and you all know what would be next. So I completed my work, changed into casuals, checked out, and went to the bar, where I proceeded to chug down a few shots for a good half hour. I could see some girl eyeing me in my peripheral vision, and I took it to be my to-go moment. As I was about to approach my would-be affair partner, I was distracted by a bunch of frantic calls from one of my colleagues about how I didn't submit the project in time and how the boss had been fuming at me. I tried to call in my other colleague and even Tessa, but they didn't even budge. Alas, my plan fell short and I had to go back to the room. Luckily, the hotel that I was staying at was just 10 minutes away from the bar, and I intended to return to the bar as soon as I was done with my work. All while I was sulking about how I couldn't get to exact my plan, the moment I opened the door to my room, there was my wife in all smiles, who then yelled a big "surprise!" Also, it was weird for me not to submit my work on time. Before I had a chance to know what the hell was happening, she shoved something in front of my face, and I just got to recognize the 2 red lines and the switches just clicked. I don't know what happened next, but all I could remember is both of us kissing and crying tears of joy. My wife was pregnant, like my wife is actually pregnant. I forgot all about my suspicions, all about my plans, that chick in the bar, and I hugged my wife as long as I could and kissed her belly for several times. That night we had an amazing session and my wife was back in my arms. The next morning, Dave and Tessa congratulated me and informed me that they were now engaged and we went on a double date. Later, my wife apologized to me for ignoring me knowingly and keeping secrets and how they were just planning to surprise me with the news of pregnancy and Tessa with the marriage proposal. Also, she personally apologized for resisting my advances as she was insecure about her body and scared of hurting the baby. She's a scaredy cat. And man, I felt like a gallon of ice-cold water being thrown on my face, and never in my life have I been so ashamed as much as I am now for even doubting this woman. We spent the rest of the week enjoying ourselves to the fullest and visiting many places, shopping for some baby clothes, just because we couldn't resist, to be honest. We are now back to our normal lives. Whilst I am the happiest with my wife's pregnancy, I am still ashamed about my thoughts. God knows what would have happened and where I would be now if my wife had caught me with some random chick that night. On one hand, I want to tell my wife everything, but on the other hand, I'm scared of her reaction and the possible effects on our baby. She's now almost 3 months old. I love this woman that is my wife, and I want to spend the rest of my life with her, taking care of her until the end. So could you please tell me if it would be a good thing to just lay myself bare to her, or hold my tongue for as long as I can? In the comments, wow, just imagine having an actual adult conversation where you air out your suspicions that would have immediately made everything clear. Also, it's crazy as hell how some of you are trying to say that I'm overlooking the wife's behavior by essentially commenting, maybe talk to your wife before trying to F another woman. The closeness with the guy friend might be to get his opinion on how to surprise OP with the pregnancy. You know, getting a male perspective on it. You are very high risk for cheating. You might want to learn how to communicate effectively. Man, and y'all are having a baby together. For your information, it would have been a choice, not a mistake. Damn dude, the F? You were gonna cheat without talking to your wife first? Because she was talking to your friend and smiling and not having much sex with you. You need some serious therapy. Your jealousy nearly destroyed your marriage. Furthermore, let's say that your suspicions were valid, which they totally were not. You didn't think to have a talk with your wife first to confirm if she was cheating? Nope. Straight to hooking up with women it is. You need to work on your self-esteem, and you need to learn to trust your wife. Also, go to therapy and get help. This amount of jealousy is not normal, nor is it justified. OP replies, I was an asshole for this, and thank you for pointing these out. I'll try my best to fix myself. A therapist can help you. Don't try, do. You have a moral obligation to your wife and family. Your lack of rational thought, communication skills, and personal accountability, and immediate inclination to engage in betrayal needs to be addressed, or you're at serious threat of dropping a total bomb on your family. And now, on to the update. I don't know how to phrase this, as the matter has turned out to be new day, new crap kind of thing. So, well, yeah. Going for the majority, I decided not to disclose about the crap that I tried pulling to my wife. She is happier, she is glowing, and now that there is a bump, she is more beautiful than ever. Coming to me, I've actually started going to therapy, and it's turning out well. The problem is around a week ago or more while I was scrolling through my wife's phone, I kinda went to her chats with Dave. I know I might be an asshole for this. Well, y'all know that curiosity killed the cat, and here it effed me over. One particular text caught my eye, and it goes like this. Dave says, do you think that we would have been happier if it was just the both of us? and my wife says, "What do you mean?" And Dave didn't answer anything but just a never mind. This has screwed me over like I was a fresh out of rehab recovering addict and there was some kind of free drinks forever thing going on. I'm not gonna lie, 100 scenarios came into my mind. That MF being close to my wife, all touchy and what effing not. Like WTF actually. Whose genuine buddies would ask if they'd be happier with each other than with their partners? Bless my wife. There are no doubt awakening texts from her side, although I can't say the same about Dave. He was pulling crap like how's the baby doing, how's you baby mama? And y'all can call me out on this, but it just pained me so much. The literal thought of someone else knowing about your baby before you to someone who might be interested in your partner. I was going to confront him, but I don't know if it'd be the right time to do that. I seriously don't have a clear idea about my wife, but I can say that whatever thing Dave wants, she doesn't exactly reciprocate it. She doesn't have any friends in the town besides him and Tessa, and she has been so happy planning about everything with them. I think I'm getting returned what I would have made her feel big time, and it is clearly a long path to decide what we are going to do. I can confront him secretly, but it won't take long before my wife finds out that something is wrong, and I'm afraid of her condition. I don't want to upset her more, nor do I know how to bring this crap up smoothly, so can y'all suggest me your advice? Also, I have dropped the idea about getting a DNA test done, but now a seed of doubt is in my head, so I can't say that I'm sure of that unless I get a clear answer from the both of them in the near future. Also, no, I won't try to cheat on her again. I've learned my lesson, and that would be it. In the comments, "You're an effing loser, dude. Communicate with your wife. I feel bad for her and your unborn child, and you as a husband and father. Get a grip, talk to a therapist, F." Wow, clearly you haven't learned anything. Talk to your wife and please don't cheat. This needs to be said, apparently. My goodness, forget about Dave and talk to her. Honestly, I was rooting for you to do the right thing and tell her after your first post, but now I doubt you two will make it. You are terrible at communicating, and you seem to not respect your wife enough to even try. Edit, I think I should add that I think my reaction to this post is so strong because I've had similar responses to things as OP, like the insecurities, and for lack of a better word, paranoia. I applaud you for getting therapy, but please communicate with your wife. My main thought reading all of this is, you're married to this woman, and you can't ask her what's going on? Not even a casual, "Hey, I noticed you and Dave hanging out more. Is there anything that I should be worried about?" Literally same. I was so baffled that he straight up went, "I'm gonna get revenge and cheat on her," without even once talking to her about it. And 2 times he has gone to other solutions that aren't just talking to his wife. Jesus effing Christ. I have a friend like this. She refuses to have a genuine conversation and instead assumes that her boyfriend knows what she's thinking and what he is supposed to do. But of course he doesn't because she hasn't told him of her expectations, so naturally, she acts as though he is deliberately ignoring her wishes and gets angry and weird about it. It is effing exhausting. There is a divorce in his future. And guess who will be there to comfort OP's ex-wife? I would hazard a guess that it's the guy that she called her soulmate to her husband's stupid face, followed by reminding her how he never liked her husband and always thought that she could do better. She can though. Dude tried to cheat on her after 3 weeks of her acting funny. No conversation, no confrontation, just cheating revenge. Spite fuels OP, and jealousy is a close second. Obviously her friendship will cause problems, but OP is a douche nugget. Our next post is titled, "How do I tell my sister that I don't want to be her nanny anymore without it causing drama?" I've been watching my sister's child for the last 2 years. My husband makes enough money that I don't have to work, and I can focus on our home and our family. When my sister was pregnant, I said I'd be open to watching the baby on occasion. Somehow, on occasion, went from date nights here and there to 10-hour days 2 to 3 times a week. I admit that after 2 years, I've let this get completely out of control, and I should have said something sooner, but there is really no nice way to tell someone that I don't want to watch their child for any reason other than I just don't want to. I have so much anxiety over having to get up at 6 a.m. to show up at their house to babysit that I literally can't sleep, so then I end up not sleeping at all, and then watching the baby for 10 hours. My sister is now talking about having a second baby and gushing every chance she gets about how appreciative she is for my help because of all the money that I'm saving them, and I just about had a panic attack when I realized not only does she expect this to continue for a significant amount of time, but she is fully going to expect me to watch a toddler and a newborn, and meanwhile I've been contemplating how I can get out of this situation without drama. My husband works his ass off so that I can be home with our family, not so that I can be a nanny for my sister. And to make matters worse, my sister just bought an extravagant new house, which she probably did in part because she didn't think that she'd have to worry about childcare. But I just don't want to do it anymore, at all. I love my niece, but I absolutely do not want to be her or anyone else's nanny. My sister and her husband have a very different parenting style than I do. They are very fussy, and they don't even leave a car spot, so I'm literally stranded there all day. If something happens with my own child, I literally can't leave at all. I feel trapped in this situation, and I just want it to be over. In the comments, listen, she's not going to like it. Stop wringing your hands and just rip off the band-aid. Just because you are family doesn't mean that you are de facto nanny. You've gotten into this mess because you can't say no. You need to work with a therapist to learn to set and keep boundaries. Tell your sister, "Sis, I love you and kiddo. When I originally offered to babysit, I thought I could manage more when you asked, but it's become too much for me and is impacting my mental health. Starting January 1st, I can't be a daily sitter. I'm happy to help out here and there, but I just can't be your regular nanny." And she'll throw a fit and there will be some drama, but just grey rock it and don't respond. She'll get over it eventually. But seriously, therapy for you. You have to do this. It'll cause drama no matter what, but your health and relationship between you two is more important than the immediate discomfort. I literally do not know how to tell her any of this. I feel like I'm being selfish, which I know is ridiculous. I've contemplated going back to work just so I have an excuse to be unavailable. You are not being selfish at all. I would say they are taking advantage of you. Even as a family member, you deserve to be paid. You also can't lose out on sleep because of that. For context, I'm a single parent. Childcare is super difficult, and I couldn't see myself expecting anyone to watch my kid, even if they were family, for 10+ hours, without asking them if they're okay with it and ensuring they are not feeling taken advantage of. Also, to think they can just assume you'll be able to take care of two is super presumptive of them. You deserve to have a right in speaking up for yourself and your time. You are not selfish for having needs. You are not responsible for how they deal with the challenges of parenthood. My husband and I worked opposite shifts to avoid childcare costs. I felt horrible asking my parents to occasionally sit with my son for an hour or two on the odd occasion one of us worked late, but it never occurred to me to ask for so much of another person's time. It's just so bizarre to me that she gets so upset anytime someone doesn't want to help. Like, our parents made it very clear they would not do what I am presently doing. And the way that it all came about is insane. First it was, "Hey, my mum is busy this Thursday, will you watch her during my shift?" And the next thing I know, she's sending me her monthly work schedule. Wait, you have kids and your sister expects you to spend 30+ hours at her house every week raising her child without payment? That is some next level entitlement. Back up to the post, we have an edit. I sent her a text. I'm just waiting for her response. It won't let me add the screenshot for some reason. It reads, "I just wanted to give you a heads up that after December, I won't be watching X anymore in a childcare role. This way you guys have time to get other arrangements worked out. Nothing's wrong, I'm just shifting my focus to my household. I know you guys have appreciated my help. Thanks so much for being understanding and supporting me now." Update, S replies, "I'm quite taken aback by this. May I ask why?" I say, "I just need to take a step back for my mental health." "Well, this is just very out of the blue. You didn't say anything on the phone yesterday." "I wanted to say this yesterday, but I didn't because this subject has been a source of anxiety for me." "Well, how so?" "Well, it's just difficult for me to simultaneously manage my household and yours. I can watch her until the end of December, but after that, I can't. I love you and her, but I really can't take care of two households. I'm only one person, and I definitely can't take care of another baby on top of that. It's too much for me. Please understand and don't take it personally. I really don't want to fight about this. This is just how it needs to be. And she says, so you'll watch her until the end of December and then I just have to drop her off with complete strangers. Got it. She left me on read for 20 minutes before sending that last text. I told our dad about what happened, and he apparently called her up and reamed her out on my behalf, and she's been quiet ever since. And now, on to the update. So I texted my sister one final time yesterday to see if she had needed me this week. Wednesday to Friday were my usual days. Since she hasn't been responding to me since I let her know our current arrangement was no longer suitable. She left me on read until 11:30 p.m. before texting me, don't worry about it. So I guess I'm off the hook. Even though she's clearly very angry at me, as I knew she would be, I appreciate all the encouragement and advice I received from all of you. It really helped me to get the courage to finally have this conversation that should have happened months ago. I do hope that my sister doesn't withhold my niece from me for too long, because I would still like to visit with her and take her to do things. I just didn't want to be their default childcare provider, which is not at all unreasonable of me. In the comments, you did the right thing, both for yourself and for your family. Not to mention, she needed to find actual childcare before getting pregnant again. She was massively abusing your kindness and planning to extend that even further. It had to end. Yep, gotta love the manipulative bullcrap of, I have to leave her with strangers. She could easily hire another nanny that has great references, she just doesn't want to spend the money. She'd rather take advantage of OP. The only advice I can give you is if she does withhold your niece from you, let her. Don't make any comments about it other than, I'd love to take niece out for some auntie bonding time every once in a while. If you have a day that works for you, let me know. Don't ask further, because she may try to weaponize her child to manipulate you. Don't engage in that sort of behavior. At the end of the day, she is her child's mother and does get to dictate who takes her child out, but don't let her use your relationship with niece as a bargaining chip. Spending time with you is as much for niece's benefit as it is yours. And as a mother, she needs to learn that it isn't okay to put her pettiness above the best interest of her child. If they just bought a big new house, they can find another nanny. You've helped out more than enough, and it was wrong of her to just assume you'd continue to do this for a long time for her. She's a parent and she needs to figure out the parenting. OP says, I think she bought the house without budgeting in childcare, which is why she's so pissed. Oh well, not my issue anymore. Nobody feels more entitled to your time than family. I'm glad OP managed to successfully set some boundaries. Sister Probs made bigger plans than just the house, and she was counting on that money that wasn't going to be going to childcare. Which is why I always laugh when businesses advertise that they are like a family. It must really mess with your self-worth to have entitled family like this. Personally, I have a very chill family, but I have a lot of friends who have trouble setting boundaries because of their family / the way that they were raised, and I have to admit, it's sometimes a bit frustrating from the outside. I don't know how many times I've said to friends, hello, if you're open to it, could I please have the contact info for your parents, sibling, boss, so I could give them a piece of my mind? Of course, I know this would be completely inappropriate in reality in a lot of situations, but the urge is real. My boyfriend just quit a toxic job, and when the COO was trying toxically to convince him not to quit, the COO asked for my number so that he could try to convince me to convince my boyfriend not to quit. I was like, please give him my number so I can tell him off. I don't have to be political. Lol. Am I the asshole for not wanting to go to my 26 female, sister's 29 female wedding because of my insomnia? My sister, let's call her Hannah, isn't speaking to me right now because I RSVP'd no to her wedding in January. My mom wants me to change my RSVP, but honestly, the wedding isn't going to be possible for me to attend, and based on how my sister is acting, I don't want to go anymore. Ever since I hit puberty, I've had really bad insomnia. I usually go to bed at around 6 to 7 a.m. and wake up at around 1 p.m. or 2 p.m. I've tried to change my sleep style, and I just can't. It's like dealing with international jet lag. Hannah knows this, but always forgets, and tries to wake me up for family things whenever she visits home, and I have to lock my bedroom door and really work to keep her out. When I got the invitation for Hannah's wedding, I was super excited for her because she has always wanted a big wedding and it looks like she's going to get it. And that might not be what I want or would want, but she does, and that is exciting. And I can acknowledge that. But then I saw the timeline, and there's a wedding brunch at 10 a.m., the ceremony is at noon, and then there's an afternoon party. I asked Hannah if I could just come to the afternoon party, since I'll be sleeping at 10 a.m., and she got furious and started yelling over the phone about how since I'm her sister, I need to be there for the ceremony. I laughed and told her there was no way that I could be there on time, because it basically would be like trying to get someone on a 9-to-5 work schedule to attend an event at 2 a.m. I probably shouldn't have laughed, but it just felt so ridiculous. If she wanted me to be there for the whole thing, she needed to plan for a time when I could actually attend. I work a full-time job as a freelancer, just not normal hours because of my insomnia, so it really bugs me when people act like my time is worth less than theirs. But now wedding preparations are happening at the house. The brunch is going to be there, and my mum is really upset with me for not coming to the wedding. She wants me to apologize to Hannah and be one of her bridesmaids. Hannah isn't speaking to me at all, but she is speaking to our mum. So maybe that's what she wants also, but I just feel like she owes me the apology, not the other way around. But I might be wrong because this is the first big fancy wedding in our family, and maybe I need to suck it up because it's a tradition to have a morning breakfast or something. Am I the asshole? OP has offered the following explanation for why they think they might be the asshole. I told my sister I couldn't go to her wedding because of my insomnia. That might make me the asshole if I'm supposed to go anyway as her sister. I'm gonna go with yes, you're the asshole for this one. If anything, just go and be half awake throughout the entire ceremony and day. Go and find somewhere to nap intermittently. Take medication to help out with your insomnia. Find solutions around this. Don't just ditch the wedding because you don't want to find a workaround. That doesn't seem very nice of you, OP. Treat others how you want to be treated. Would you like your sister to just not come to any big events that you place lots of value in because, it doesn't work for my schedule, rearrange it or I'm not coming? That, to me, is asshole behavior, and I think you are one, so you're the asshole. In the comments, you're the asshole for expecting events to be planned around you, for laughing, and for not caring enough about her wedding to consider talking to a doctor for help. If this happened in puberty, how did you attend high school? This sounds like a crappy issue to have, but you still have to adjust to normal life, especially for important occasions like this. Also, if my sister invited me to her 2 a.m. wedding, like in OP's comparison, I would be there. I don't even like my sister, but I would absolutely still be at her wedding even if she had it at 2 a.m. I had a good friend get married on a mountain at dawn, and I got up and dressed at 3 a.m. Sometimes we go to events outside of our normal schedule, and we use caffeine to make up for it. Info: if you're sleeping a regular schedule of 6 a.m. to 1 p.m., of 7 to 8 hours, then that doesn't sound like insomnia. It sounds like you just have your sleep schedule off. Have you talked to a doctor about this? Do you have a diagnosis? I have insomnia, but I also have similar to this as a part of some chronic illnesses I have, and it's called delayed sleep phase disorder, or a reversed sleep pattern. It sucks, and you either get to miss out on things that happen while you're asleep, or you sacrifice your sleep to attend. For what it's worth, I do the latter for important family functions like weddings, etc., and the former for if it's just a few family members visiting us for the day, and I join them when I wake. My family supports me in this, by the way. Obviously, I don't expect my family to put their lives on hold just because of me, but my immediate family do try to arrange things they want me to attend at a time and location that I can manage. But some things just aren't possible to arrange at times that suit my stupid, disordered sleep pattern. Like weddings, funerals, christenings, etc., which event times often are dictated by the venue, the person conducting the marriage and ceremony, tradition, etc. OP isn't wrong per se to just want to attend the afternoon event, but obviously it doesn't view her sister as worth sacrificing several hours sleep for, as I would, especially as it's not a regular occurrence, it's just one day's sleep. Unless OP has a chronic illness also, and that one day would affect her negatively for days and weeks and cause her to miss work. For me, the compromise here would be to miss the 10 a.m. wedding breakfast and get up in time to attend the actual wedding ceremony and following celebrations. Back up to the post, we have an edit. Okay, that was universal. Am I the asshole? I will apologize to Hannah and ask if I can still attend the wedding. I think it's probably best if I'm not a bridesmaid, but I can still put on a dress and show up even if I'm tired. Thank you to everyone that sent in medical tips. I'm realizing that I need to get a second opinion that isn't our family doctor, because she's actually kind of dismissive about my sleep issues, and I used to like that because she made my mum calm down and she supported me with a doctor's note for online high school. But some of you mentioned high blood pressure and delayed sleep phase disorder, and I want to talk to someone who is at least willing to investigate that with me. Edit 2, sorry, I meant I am the asshole is universal, and I get it. Edit 3/update, I sat down and talked with my mum about the situation with Hannah, and it was rough, but I think that she understands a little better now where I was coming from and is going to help me find a sleep specialist to go to. I asked her if she thought that I should call Hannah directly or if she should talk to her first, and she said that I should do it. So I tried calling, but she didn't pick up. So I sent her an apology text. No response yet, but I said sorry for laughing and for acting self-centered, and that if she would still have me at the wedding, I would be happy to attend, but that I probably shouldn't be a bridesmaid. But I could do other things at the wedding like pass out stuff, and that I just want to make sure that she has a good time. I don't know if she'll forgive me, but I do feel better now that I'm trying. I've also been watching a lot of videos on sleep rhythm disorders, and a lot of symptoms in my life make more sense now, so seriously, a big thank you to everyone who gave me tips and ideas for what to search and what to ask my new sleep doctor once I find one with my mum. And now, on to the update. First off, it was a big eye-opener to see that so many people thought that I was the arsehole, and after reading your comments, I agree with you. I guess I've been living a kind of sheltered life, and I wasn't thinking about the wedding the way that I should have. I was kind of viewing it as a big party, more like a birthday party, more than a once-in-a-lifetime event, and that was a mistake. Hannah asked me if I could get a coffee with her outside of the house, and I was a little bit surprised that she wanted to meet that way, but I obviously said yes. I was getting a little worried that she wasn't going to respond at all. But I think that that was the best decision ever, because Hannah and I had a great conversation. It was kind of intense, but I think really necessary, about some stuff that happened when we were kids and our relationship with our mum. I won't go into all of it here, but TLDR, Hannah apologized for trying to wake me up whenever she visited, I apologized for laughing about her wedding, and we both agreed that I need to A, talk to more doctors, and B, move out of our mother's house. We grew up pretty sheltered, and I hadn't realized how much it was impacting my mood and energy until Hannah started talking about what she experienced when she moved out and went to college. She left home pretty early, at 16, so we really didn't know each other as adults much at all. Hannah told me that when she first moved out, everything got easier with our mother, and she started going to therapy and got really into fitness and nutrition, and she realized that she felt a lot better with less contact with our family, but she got really worried about me being left home, and wanted to check up on me and encourage me to move out too, but didn't know how to communicate that, particularly since I was always sleeping when she was over. I have some money saved from freelancing and saving on rent, so I'm going to think about different places to move to. My job can be done from anywhere, so now that I'm thinking about moving out, it feels weird that I was so stuck in my high school routine that I didn't even consider any other options. My sleeping schedule is still super screwed up, but Hannah has a friend who is a nutritionist that is willing to do a consult with me over Zoom, so that's something that I'm going to do next week. I called my family doctor and asked for referrals, but the only available appointment slot is like 2 months out, and I'm not sure if I'll even be in the state at that point. So I didn't book it yet, but I'm definitely going to try and get a medical team once I know what my plans are. Thanks again to everyone, particularly everyone who messaged me directly with advice. In the comments, I am so glad that your relationship with your sister is improving. Remember, nutrition can do a lot, but also in a bad way. Make sure you go to a specialist before you start changing everything about your food. I'm glad that you'll be able to see the doctor. I was shocked when you said your doctor didn't think that it was a big deal, and even that you didn't think that it was a big deal when it impacts everything in your life in an obvious way. Good luck with the doctors. Echoing many others, maybe a registered dietitian could help you, but you need a real doctor that can give you specialized care regarding sleep, Not some WebMD nutritionist that's going to claim they can fix your life by minimizing your seed oil intake and buying a bottle of valerian extract. Book an appointment with a real doctor. And OP replies, "Hi, I'm definitely going to book with other specialists. The nutritionist is just one part of the medical team that I hope to put together. I just mentioned her explicitly since I already have that appointment scheduled, and I think that it's nice that my sister helped me connect with her friend. I hope that she manages to figure out what's going on. Also, the sister seems to imply that there are some issues surrounding the mom. I'm wondering about the sheltered atmosphere that she grew up in and how that affects sleep. On a snarkier note, how sheltered can she be that she doesn't realize a wedding is not an everyday occurrence? I'll see your snarky note and raise you my baseless theory that mum has something to do with how sheltered OP is. I used to work OP's hours, and it's hard to not feel like you're on the outside looking in on life when your schedule is the opposite of everyone else's. It strikes me as a bit odd that her mum, or dad if he's relevant, didn't push for a sleep specialist ages ago, assuming it wouldn't be cost prohibitive, but honestly, even maybe, if so. Not that people have to keep certain hours to be happy or successful, but dang, you gotta be able to do things like attend appointments and life events, which generally happen in daylight. You'd think that her parents would push for that since it affected her schooling. OP notes that the family doctor would shut the mum down anytime she wanted to deal with the insomnia. As a kid, OP liked it. As an adult, she realizes the doctor did not take her seriously. Yeah, I get the feeling that the family doc probably chalked it up to just teenage things, which, okay, but at some point it becomes a problem. Our next post is titled, "One of my close friends proposed to me." I'm 18 male and my close friend is 19 female. So I've been working at a fast food restaurant for almost 2 years now, and I've developed a close relationship with one of my managers. We've progressively gotten closer. We've spent a lot of time inside and outside of work together. We even went on a trip out of state with each other and some friends, and all of our friends said that we give off couple vibes. Needless to say, we both like each other. But this morning, after I clocked out, she said that she needed to talk to me in private. No big deal, right? So she pulls me into the manager's office, and she starts telling me that she has feelings for me and has had feelings for me for quite some time. I said that my feelings were likewise. And in that moment, I thought she was going to ask for a relationship. But instead, she gets on one knee, takes out this super nice engagement ring, and proposed for marriage. I'm feeling pretty blown away at this point. I asked why she wants to skip straight to engagement, and she answers that she doesn't really believe in courtship as it relates to dating. Obviously, I like her and all, but I don't think either of us are in a position to make marriage happen anytime soon. So I'd say that I'd get back to her with my answer. So here I am now. I really like her, and I feel like we'd be a fantastic couple, but I'm not even close to thinking about marriage or any kind of engagement. It's jarring. I'm super confused right now, and I'd appreciate any kind of advice on this situation. In the comments, it seems like she missed a dozen or so steps. Tell her that you're flattered and would like to date, but marriage at this point is a no. Oh, that's weird. Okay, she has a power imbalance as your manager, and that does worry me. Second, you're quite right that there is a big difference between working well together and wanting to commit the rest of your life. Third, ask yourself if she may have an ulterior motive in wanting to marry so precipitously. Is she maybe pregnant? Does she need her green card? Is she just desperate to get out of her parents' house? Tell her that as of this moment, no, you couldn't commit to that. If she doesn't believe in courtship, then she can go ask every Tom, Dick, and Harry if they'll marry her. There is a great deal of value in taking your time to get to know each other better. Divorces are hard, painful, and expensive. I don't even think I would date her, given that this is a workplace romance and it could go bad on you. Good luck. I wouldn't say that a relationship is off the table. You guys are really young though, and sometimes your age group makes rash decisions. Nevertheless though, marriage is so far off the table that it's eating at the kids' table in the other room. That is asinine to the most truest definition of it. There are so many steps before this that are paramount to building towards a commitment like marriage. Also, you're really, really young, and marriage should be the last thing on your mind. Maybe sit down with her and let her explain in greater detail why she would jump to marriage. See if you can find a middle ground of understanding why dating is an important step. If she can understand that, then that's a good sign in a person if she can be understanding without being resentful. However, her proposing is a bit alarming considering that she doesn't know you. And OP replies, "That is all very true. I plan on asking her to come over to dinner tonight so that I can get the full reason as to why she wanted to propose. I would be more than happy to maybe date her, yeah, but I don't think that marriage is anything realistic right now, considering we're still just friends. It's way too much commitment for someone that I don't fully know yet. I will update you and everyone else later on how dinner goes. Thanks for your advice, man." And now, on to the update. So later that same day when she proposed, I shot her a text inviting her over for dinner so that we can have a talk. She of course agrees and comes over later that day. So we discuss why she proposed over some Red Lobster takeout, and she basically said that her family, mainly her mother, never dated anyone. They had all skipped to proposal because of religious reasons. I don't know what religion though, because I never bothered to ask. So I said that I would love to maybe date, but marriage is far off the table. Neither of us have the resources to make anything like that happen, and again, we were just close friends, so it would be jarring to skip such an intimate level. So in the end, I said the only way we'd be able to court is if we started dating. So she wastes no time and straight up cuts me off and asks me out. And you know, of course I said yes. So of course, sappy love ensues, crying tears of joy, hugs, kisses, you know, lol. And she said that she's willing to keep an open mind regardless of what her family thinks. It's been a few days and things are going pretty well. However, she hasn't told her family yet. So I'll come back with another update when she tells her family. Thank you to all who helped me on the last post, and thank you for reading this one. In the comments, nice common sense approach. It would be wise to understand her religious issues because they will be your obstacles if you date her long term. Decide if they're manageable. And OP replies, "That's true. From what I understand, she's not as religious as her family, but if I want to be anywhere near them, then I need to understand why they think the way they do." But she still thought proposing to you was a normal thing to do? This is weird. A high-control religion that favors either betrothal or arranged marriages usually requires paternal involvement, particularly the father being involved in arranging things on behalf of his daughter. How much is her family involved in her life? Well, it could be some matriarchal thing, or father told her that the next time he sees her, she better have a fiancé or he would find her one. Weird beginning. I'm glad the OP had the sense not to agree to it. Dating makes a lot more sense. I kind of feel like he should ask more questions, like, her family is evidently pretty religious, so having more of an idea about that could prepare him for the inevitable friction to come. The silver lining here is that at least he's going to find out via dating instead of at the wedding. And our next post is titled, "My husband, male 26, came out to me, female 25, as a femboy, and I don't know how to react to it." My husband started getting into femboy porn around 5 months ago. Although I thought that it was a little strange, I didn't think much of it. But then 3 months ago, he came out to me as a femboy. He started saying that he was embracing his feminine side by wearing thigh highs, a skirt, and acting all shy and doing baby talk and talking like this. Oh god, that's gonna be $5 for that one, thanks. I find this a bit dehumanizing that this is what he considers femininity. The biggest problem is, he does this around our 2 children, ages 4 and 6. I told him that I don't feel it is very appropriate to act this way around our kids, but he says, in these words, "It's my true self. You're just being judgmental to gender non-conforming people, which is so outdated." He also tells me that it's good to learn from dad that they can be who they want to be. It becomes embarrassing. He does this when we go to family outings, in front of my parents and my friends. I've become the laughingstock of my family and friends. I don't know how to deal with who my husband has become. I can't even bring my husband into restaurants anymore for dates because he always asks them for the kids' menu, and when they tell him that he's too old, he throws a temper tantrum. I don't know if something is bothering him and his outlet is dressing up as a femboy and talking like a baby, but I can no longer deal with it, and I am really starting to consider divorcing him. I don't have my license because I have epilepsy, so my husband goes to pick the kids up from school every day, and both school faculty and students make fun of my kids for the way their father dresses. I have had parents tell me that it's not appropriate to be having your husband pick up your kids from an elementary school in that kind of clothing, which I'm aware of, but I live 20 minutes away from the school, and I do not want my kids to be walking that long in the winter. I don't want to hurt him, as I still love him dearly, and leaving him would hurt me as well, but I can no longer stand my kids getting made fun of, or myself. Does anyone have any advice as to what I should do? In the comments, it is okay to divorce the person who you used to love and respect if they become someone who you don't love and respect anymore, and it's better to do so before you start resenting them. OP replies, "Thank you. You're right. Your partner is taking his fetishes outside the bedroom and is forcing others to participate. He may enjoy the humiliation or exhibitionism of acting like that in public. Wanting to play around in the bedroom is one thing, but what he's doing is forcing non-consenting people in public to participate in his fantasy. He's also bringing his fantasy life in front of his children, and that is not okay. And even if he's trans or non-binary, trans people still have to follow the norms of society in public. Trans women can't wear bikinis to parent-teacher conferences or throw tantrums in restaurants. Trans women and non-binary people still dress for occasions and follow etiquette. I'm going through something similar with my husband. It's been difficult and heartbreaking because it didn't end with them identifying themselves and their sexuality for me. My husband ended up feeling unsatisfied with my lack of attraction to his sexuality. I wasn't comfortable reenacting the sexual play that he was coercing me into, and I refused to partake. I offered separation or opening up the marriage, which was against my beliefs, multiple times because of sexual incompatibilities, which he refused countless times. He ended up disrespecting the boundaries of our relationship by gaslighting and emotionally cheating, by sexting multiple other men and women without physically cheating. I haven't dealt with my husband forcing exposure on our kids, friends, or family though. My husband is currently in therapy, but we're also separated until there is seen improvement. My only concern is that he resolves his deep-rooted issues to be a better father to our kids. If your husband's actions are causing emotional issues for you and your kids, you need to have a serious talk about going to therapy. If he is unwilling to resolve your relationship, then discuss separation if you're against an open marriage or divorce. I don't think leaving with unresolved communication and mutual respect issues will help with co-parenting. You should consider therapy for your health too. You are going through a lot right now, and you need help and emotional support through this. And now, on to the update. To start off, I want to thank everyone for the advice and show of concern for both me and my kids. It has definitely been a bit overwhelming since I didn't expect this much attention to it, but again, thank you. I had a talk with my husband 2 days after writing the post, and I told him point blank that he needs to act like a grown man outside of the house and not act the way he does, or I will be divorcing him and taking my kids with me. I got the divorce papers, we both signed, and I have submitted it to the courthouse. I know I'm going to have to get a lawyer to be able to keep my kids, but I'm just glad that this is coming to an end. To clarify, I do not want anything from him but my kids. I do not want money, the house, or even child support. My parents have already told me that it's okay for us to move in, and they will help us with needs until this is all figured out. I will try to keep you guys updated as much as I possibly can. In the comments, as a child of acrimoniously divorced parents, I'd ask you to reconsider your stance on child support. My mum didn't fight for it because she was exhausted and heartbroken, understandable, and we never really recovered financially. It's also not fair to you or the kids. He'll be living only for himself, while you have to take care of all of you on your own. I'm sorry that it came to this, OP, but I'm glad you have a support in your parents, and I'm sure you'll be able to rebuild in less time than you think. I agree with this. As a man myself, I grew up as the eldest of 4 children of divorced parents, and I saw firsthand how having to be the only parent that took care of the children financially took its toll on my mother, while my father, who never once lifted a finger to help, let alone offer any financial support for his own children. All while all he did was go on trips, cruises, take vacations, etc. He pretty much just enjoyed his life with his flavor of the month girls. Don't let him off the hook from what is also his responsibility as a parent as well. And yes, that very much includes financial responsibility for those kids. Remember, he had a hand in having them too. No fetishes performed around people that can't or haven't consented, especially kids. Just no. Good on OP for protecting her kids and others around her. I'm still marveling at the blatant disregard that he showed by exposing his kink to an elementary school. I think OP is lucky they didn't call the cops personally. I'd be willing to bet that the school contacted CPS just to have it on file in case something happened in the future. If I were picking up my kids at elementary school and there was a man in a skirt, it would be fine. Good opportunity to talk about self-expression. If he was clearly doing age play by acting like an exaggerated wee baby, I would lose my goddamned mind. The school board is going to hear about it. The teachers are going to hear about it. The other parents are going to hear about it. I respect the fact that kink has a place in people's lives, but forcing your kink onto other people, children, makes you a pervert. Am I the asshole for getting mad about my boyfriend's guy nights? So me and my boyfriend C have the same friend group. There are 5 guys and 3 girls, including myself, who are all dating guys in this group. For context, I was introduced to the group 4 years ago, and I started dating C over a year ago. He joined a year before we dated. Anyway, onto the story. So the boys in my friend group have started a thing called Guys Night, where they go out and do everything we all do together, but without us girls. Here's the thing, all of my friends are the boys. I don't know the girls in the group too well, and while I have friends outside the group, I am nowhere near as close with them as I am in this group. They say they need to spend some quality time with their friends, and that if I went, they would have to invite their girlfriends. And it's not every so often, it's every 2 weeks on a Saturday, which is the one day that I can't go out. So basically, while my boyfriend goes out with all my friends, I have to be stuck at home by myself. And what's worse is when we all do hang out, they constantly bring up stuff that happened on Guys Night, saying, "Oh, you had to be there." This has been going on for months. Last night, my boyfriend came over to mine from Guys Night really happy and was texting his friends when I asked him why I couldn't go. He made a vague gesture at my chest and crotch, saying I wasn't a guy. I then asked him why he couldn't skip it to spend the night with me, and then he rolled his eyes. I lost it. I started crying and screaming at him, calling him an asshole for allowing me to be completely isolated when I've told him how shitty it is. He ended up leaving and called me a cow. He's staying with one of our friends who was saying I was being the asshole for yelling at him that way. The girls all agree with me though, and I don't know if I should apologize. Edit. I feel like everyone is confusing what I'm saying. I'm not mad he has his own buddies. That's amazing. I'm just upset that I'm being excluded because of my gender from my friends who I introduced him to. I've been told explicitly this by him and his friends. Also, we don't live together, and I only see him a few times a week. Edit 2, I should also add my boyfriend sees all his friends during the week, but they schedule Guys Night on the one night that I can go out. As I said in a comment, I see him 2 to 3 times a week, and he sees them at least 4 times, 5 on Guys Night. I see my friends once a fortnight. In the comments, you're the asshole. Let your boyfriend have his guy nights, and perhaps look into why you had such an extreme reaction to this. OP replies, because my friends are ditching me because of my gender. No, they're not. They are having a guys' night twice a month, hardly often. Go out with other friends. My husband goes out every Friday, in normal times with the blokes in our friend group, so me and the only other woman go for a cocktail or the like instead. And we don't have a great deal in common, but we enjoy it. OP replies, they literally said they want to invite me, but they don't want their girlfriends to come. Sounds like excluding me because of my gender. Not the asshole, but I'm afraid you're avoiding the larger issue. It's not about making him choose to see you instead of them. Would you really want him with you knowing that he wants to be with them? It's about you recognizing you're investing emotion, months of your life, and effort in a guy who doesn't enjoy being with you as much as he enjoys being with his friends. That's where his preference is. Being hurt, as you have a right to be, complaining and crying may, but probably won't, temporarily change the behavior, but they don't change who he would prefer to be with. He may feel affectionate towards you. If you're having sex, he may be using you for that, but you don't have his heart, and that's not likely to change. Stop whining, just tell him as nicely, undramatically, but bluntly as you can that it's not working out. You care about him, but you would like someone who you can spend your time with. You are not mad, you are not all broken up, it just looks like you want different things, and then move on. Or hang around being miserable, being used when he feels so inclined, and wait for the day that you discover he found someone who rings his bell in a way that makes him want to be with her instead of his boys, and instead of you. And now, on to the update. So about 2 weeks ago, I posted here asking if I was the asshole for getting mad at my boyfriend for his guy nights. The post didn't get a lot of attention, but the attention it did get was controversial, and there was a lot of differing opinions, so I figured I'd do an update as a lot has happened. So after I posted, I ended up contacting the girlfriends in the group to see what was up, and we started noticing something fishy. Their boyfriends and the guys in the group would say the exact same things to them as they did to me. Stuff like, "Oh, we would invite you, but then the other girls will want to come." We also figured out that there were other nights that all the guys were free, but that wanted to do Saturday nights for some reason. One of the girls, H, was suspicious of this, and many other reasons, so she checked her boyfriend's phone. I don't condone what she did at all, by the way, but in this circumstance I excuse it. While looking, she found a group chat called Boys Night, which she had never heard of. She was super suspicious at this point, and she clicked it to be greeted by a bunch of very interesting messages from the boys in our group. Well, guess what? Turns out, Guys Night was really go to a pub and cheat on your girlfriend night. The message was in reference to one of the girls my boyfriend was sleeping with last week. In fact, all the other guys except one were cheating, while the other knew but kept quiet. Another lovely discovery from the chat was that he hasn't been using protection with the other woman or with me, birth control. Meaning not only has he been cheating, he's also been putting me at a high risk of an STD, while also risking mine and my elderly grandfather's life because of COVID. Needless to say, we've broken up, and I feel better for it, but right now I'm friendless, single, and waiting on STD results, which doesn't feel fantastic. So yep, definitely not the update that I was hoping to do, but life clearly doesn't turn out the way you plan. Edit, wow, I really was not expecting this response. Thank you for all the kind words. I'm at work at the moment and will try to respond as much as possible, but from the bottom of my heart, thank you all. And also thank you for the award. I'm very overwhelmed by all the kindness. Edit 2, thank you again for all the kindness. I just thought that I'd add a few things. 1. COVID isn't bad where I am, Australia, but when we hang out, we social distance with masks. You can't social distance during sex, which is where my fear of COVID comes from. 2. One of the girls dumped her boyfriend, who wasn't cheating but knew, and the other took him back. He was cheating. And finally 3. I am STD free. I got a call an hour ago, and am so completely relieved, now I can start to move on. In the comments, not the asshole. I feel for you, as my first husband, no kids, pulled this crap all the time while we were married, along with the STD testing. It was better to find out about the group chat than through an STD. I'm so sorry that this is the update that you had to give. I'll be the first to admit that I was on the fence after reading your original post. To me, guys' nights just aren't the same if a girl is along. However, my guys' nights with my friends involve everyone bonding together as guys over a few beers, not going down to the local pub and seeing who can cheat on their significant other. I don't even want to imagine what the dynamics of your friend group are going to be like now, but I wish you the best in finding a new, better group of friends and boyfriend. Good riddance to those boys and the environment they created amongst one another. Let's put the cheating thing to the side. I want to imagine if a guy snapped at his girlfriend for not taking him with her to her girls' night. Well, if the girls' night happened every 2 weeks on only his free day, and everyone who went were his friends for longer than they've known girlfriend, yeah, I wouldn't blame a guy for being upset. Am I mean for judging OP? Like, obviously her boyfriend is horrible, but I feel like people are relatively consistent in their conduct, and I think the character of the people you choose to be around with says something about you. In my opinion, there is no way OP's boyfriend and his friends were just douchebags in this situation, especially given the whole crotch show thing. especially when the situation involves constant lying, endangering others, and cheating. No one just wakes up randomly a horrible person. So to me, OP had to be knowingly dating a douchebag and exclusively hanging out with douchebags. It's just he wasn't an over-the-line asshole until he cheated. That's maybe a little bit mean. I think some of these jackasses will present a very nice facade until they feel you've become too enmeshed in their web to get out when they reveal their real face. And, since her guy friends turned out the same way, it's possible that they were doing the same thing in an attempt to keep OP around as backup in case one of their girlfriends caught wise and dumped them. Which could also explain some of why she wasn't better friends with the girlfriends. The guys were keeping her segregated on purpose so she wouldn't catch on to their real reasons, / the girls knew she was a backup girlfriend and kept themselves at an arm's length. Our next post is titled, I, 16 male, have a 4-month-old daughter, ex-girlfriend wants to go to college, and I am worried. Before anyone says anything, yes, I knew about condoms. I was just dumb. Story time. My parents divorced when I was 10, but lived primarily with my mum. Tiffany's, 16, parents are together. When our parents found out she was pregnant, her parents kicked her out, and my mum kicked me out. So now we live with my dad. During the pregnancy, my dad took my mum to court and got primary sole custody. I know what this means because I had to go to court for my daughter. He sued Tiffany's parents for legal guardianship, and they now pay child support for her, and they're pissed and refuse to talk to us. I'm in my bedroom, and my daughter is in her bedroom, and my ex is in the guest room that is now hers. My dad made a deal with us. We live with him until 18 with no rent payment, but at 18, we need to decide what it is we do. I wasn't really that good in school, and Tiffany is a grade A student. So I took my GED, and my dad got me into welding school. I finish in 2 months. I also work full-time, so I do welding school at night. Tiffany goes to school and works on the weekends at Wendy's. This whole thing is a huge ordeal. We literally have no life. My dad helps, but not that much, because he feels it's our responsibility, which I agree, but still sucks. I work 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. at a warehouse and go to school from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. Tiffany's home by 2:30 and picks up our daughter from daycare. We help each other out a lot, and then I head off to school, and she stays with her at home until I get home, and do it all over again, day after day. When our daughter was born, my dad made us go to court. We have 50-50, and I don't pay child support because she lives with us. Because I work full-time, I can get healthcare for my daughter and myself, and that sucks. It costs me $300 a month, and daycare is $400 a week. Literally, Tiffany works just so we can pay for daycare, and I pay for everything else. When we're short for cash, my dad will help because he sees that we are trying. My dad has been our rock. When we're tired and exhausted, he'll step in and give us a break here and there, but he makes sure that we have everything we need and keeps us motivated. Tiffany wants to apply to college soon, and I'm worried because I don't want to keep living with her, and I don't think that I can keep our daughter full-time as a welder working 12-hour shifts. But she says she will start at community college and work, but wants to stay with us living together since it's easier, since I will be working, and it will be best for us to stay with my dad. But Dad said at 18 that we have to pay rent. She doesn't mind, but I don't want to keep living with her because we aren't together. I am unsure how to tell her this. My dad thinks she should stay with us as long as she is a full-time student to finish her degree because I'm already getting my career together. I just feel that this is all unfair because the burden is on me. I guess I'm ranting because I'm scared and unsure of what this all means. Edit. I guess my thing about her living with us is that we are more like siblings now. We get along and joke and stuff, but since she's my ex, I feel weirded out by it. Maybe I need to take a breather since everyone is saying it's a good thing. Also, I needed to hear it from other people and not just my dad. And he is pretty solid, and I should thank him, maybe take him out to dinner or something. Second edit, my dad isn't kicking us out at 18, but he wants to be realistic to the world and pay bills. The money he gets from Tiffany's parents he just gives to her. She's saving up money for a car and uses other money for her specific foods and clothes. Before I became a dad, my dad always wanted me to live with him at 18 and figure it out and stay with him and save money to buy a house. When he found out that I was going to be a dad, he wasn't mad, but disappointed, and said everything has to change. He is also paying for my welding school, which costs $20,000, and he bought me a car, but I do have to pay my own insurance. He does help as long as he sees that we are trying and not being lazy. When school recently started, he took my daughter to daycare every morning and helped Tiffany with a routine to get schoolwork done. Final edit. I have to get to class now. Tiffany wants to be a nurse or PA, but the college told her nursing school is hard to get into, and it's best to have a high school diploma, which is why she is still in high school and working the weekends. But someone mentioned a dual thing for community college, and we'll look into that. So we couldn't get daycare assistance because we are minors, and they used my dad's salary. The funny thing is I can't open a checking account for myself because I'm a minor, but the bank allowed me to open a children's account for my daughter because I am her parent. Lol, the irony. I read every single comment, and it's given me a different POV, and I guess college seems so far, and I was counting years. But it's really not that bad, she's like a sister now. And for those who asked, I doubt we will get back together, honestly. I'm not thinking about anything like that right now. I am too tired to think of a relationship or that type of future. In the comments, your dad is an amazing man. You're right. Being an adult and a parent is a burden. It sounds like you're working hard to make a good life for yourself and your kid. Keep doing it. Keep following your dad's advice because it is good. Ultimately, you don't get to choose where your kid's mum lives. Your dad gets to decide whether he will rent to her because it is his house. You can choose for yourself. Do you want to pay rent at your dad's or somewhere else? Check out your options and see what makes sense for you. And also, tell your dad how much you appreciate him. OP says, my dad has been great in all of this. I guess it's just a reality for me right now. I know living on my own will be far more expensive, and he's giving me 2 years to save money, so I don't think it'll be that bad of rent he is asking for. I guess I just had to hear it from other people, and not just my dad, that this is the right thing. I still feel like he's trying to tell me what to do, and I get annoyed, I guess, like every other teenager. If it helps, I'm 30, and my mum still tries to tell me what to do. Your dad spent a lot of time just being dad. Now he's also trying to figure out how to be dad and grandpa while giving you support but not suffocating you. Transitions are hard. Some days are going to be hard. That's normal. If you can find even 30 minutes a day to find time to do something just for you. As a parent, it is easy to get lost. There is so much that needs to be done when you work and have a baby, but you're still a person with their own wants and needs. You need something that anchors you and feels like it's just yours. In my experience, that helps. I think you should listen to your dad as much as possible on this. Your ex should stay with you guys as long as possible, so you both have the greatest chances of success in being able to take care of your daughter. I know it sucks, but you can't be worrying about your feelings towards your ex right now. You gotta continue to focus on your daughter who is helpless and needs you very badly to keep her best interests in mind. When you're a little bit older, you'll thank yourself profusely for stepping up at this time to take care of that baby. You should be proud of yourself as it is. You stepped up to the plate and are working very hard to ensure a good future for the baby and for yourself. Not a lot of teen fathers your age can say that. Remind yourself that it won't always be so difficult. The baby is brand new and has a lot of needs right now, and you are so young and still growing up yourself. In a few years, things will be much easier for you all. You'll be more capable, and so will the baby. Just keep your chin up and stick it to the grindstone. Do your best, and continue to work hard. It will all pay off in the end when you see that child grow up happy and loving her dad. And OP replies, honestly, I don't think I would be this good if it wasn't for my dad. He keeps me in line. You're right. The more I think about this, it's messing with me because I see Tiffany more like a sister now. Like we laugh and mess with each other like siblings, but she's my ex and it kinda weirds me out. And now on to the update. I don't know why I feel like I need to make an update, but here it goes. Tiff and my dad went to the school and were able to get her enrolled in college courses because of her grades. She won't graduate high school way too fast, but she will have enough to finish high school hours by next December, so 6 months early. She reapplied for assistance and we got a voucher for daycare, so now it's $50 a week. She quit her job so she can focus on school, but she doesn't start college until spring, so that's cool. It gives her some time. She still wants to be a nurse, so that's cool too. I got a new job that pays more as a forklift operator and will give me an internship for welding, which I won't be able to start until November/December until I finish my classes, and then I have to do a 2-month internship. But they are paying me really good. I started Monday. My dad and I had a long talk about my fears, and he reassured me that it's okay to be scared, but we have a game plan. He is fixing up the basement to make 2 bedrooms and a living room like a little apartment because he said Tiff and I will need space as we grow. He wants me to buy the house when I'm 18 like he did with his parents, and he will help me pay it off as long as Tiff gets to stay until she finishes college and makes her own choice. We all agreed this is the best option, and we are all really much happier now. I guess I just needed to let it out. Tiff and I are great. While being parents is hard, it's been good now, so we feel a bit more secure. My mum and Tiff's parents still haven't spoken to us because we aren't married, which does make me sad, but it's okay. We have my dad. Tiff's grandparents bought her a car and said that's all they can do for her, and not to contact them again until we're married. The car needs some work, but I'm going to pay for it to fix it up. It needs brakes, suspension, and some regular maintenance. My dad finally told me what all happened, and I didn't know, but it made me open my eyes to all of this. My dad met my mum in high school too, and they were together and got caught kissing. Since my mum's family are Baptist, they forced my dad to marry her. I didn't know that in Missouri, parents can marry their kids at 15, which is why my dad has been so protective. They were going to marry Tiff and I because she was pregnant, and when my dad stepped in, they couldn't. My mum and Tiff's dad went and got a license for us and were going to marry us in their church. I guess I wouldn't have minded marrying Tiff, but I would rather do it later. But yeah, that's why they aren't talking to us. My dad did say that if that happened, he would help us get it annulled, but we have no intentions of speaking to them right now. He explained that Tiff is stuck, and while I might be afraid, she is even more afraid because she has no one, and I need to reassure her that we are here for her as a family. I guess I couldn't see it that way, and it's good that I talked to him. I hugged my dad, and I have been hugging him every day now, and it's nice, it's made us closer. All of this information made me pretty sad and grateful at the same time, and it helped Tiff and I really start talking more. Like, we talked, but we didn't talk. And I didn't know that she was scared too. We are now doing days for us to be kids, as my dad says. So we both still hang out with our friends who still talk to us at least once a week, and Tiff and I do a lot of stuff on the weekends now that she doesn't work. Like taking Jelly to the park and going for walks, and we did a pumpkin patch. Jelly seems to be happier too, and Tiff doesn't seem as tired anymore. Anyways, thanks everyone for the help, tips, and encouragement. I doubt I will update again and just lurk for parenting advice. Edit, just want to say thanks for thinking I'm a great dad, but I don't believe it just yet. I depend a lot on my dad to help me. Tiff and I are trying. We do take parenting classes, and they offer us a lot of advice, and we have made friends there, which is nice. But I don't think that we would be this prepared without my dad. Also, Tiff is on WIC, and we take parenting and co-parenting classes. Those are my dad's rules. In the comments, this is identical to where we started as teen parents almost 9 years ago. Keep working to improve yourself, graciously accept help from your family, and you will do just fine. My ex-fiancé and I didn't stay together, but we are doing well separately. He does IT, and I recently quit nursing to take on a different healthcare career. I'm a homeowner as of a few months ago. It's been brutal at times, but is so worth the struggle. You can do whatever you set your mind to. OP replies, "For real? Does it get better?" Oh yes, absolutely. You will grow into your careers. Your child will get older and amaze you damn near every day. Your relationship with your dad will evolve. You may even see the other parents come back into your life. My own dad was less than supportive and came around and even apologized for his actions. Keep doing the right thing, and you can go on to do well for yourself. OP replies, "That's positive. It's not like this is easy or too hard. I mean, it's hard, and we are tired, but it's really stressful. Sometimes I think I'm in a tornado and can't see straight. Sometimes it's a sensory overload. Between work and home, I feel like I'm drowning." You can be 30 and have kids and feel that way. A kid turns your life upside down and inside out at any age. I'm glad your dad is helping you and that you're able to appreciate it. He barely got done raising you. I told my mom how jealous I am of my half-siblings, and now she won't stop crying. I, 16 male, was born to my mom when she was 15, and I've never known my real dad. My mom didn't drop out of school or anything, and the year after I was born, she started dating Jack, and when they went to university, I obviously got left behind with my grandparents. Mom and Jack got good degrees, got married, and moved to a city by Vancouver. My mom's always been in my life. She would still come home every weekend just to cuddle with me, and would always give me these nicknames, but calling me her special guy would be her favorite one. She'd always bring me back presents and gifts, and spend the whole time playing with me. She's the one who paid for my tutoring and after-school stuff, and would try to make it to games and stuff like that. Jack wouldn't always come with her, but it was always fun when he would. He's taken me fishing with him a lot of times, and we even went camping for 2 weeks together once, but never again because I hate camping. But when I was 10, my mom and Jack had a daughter, and then another girl 3 years ago. I don't really know them, especially because my mom stopped coming over as much after they were born. We don't cuddle anymore. We did on my birthday, but that's it. No more cute nicknames for me except for special guy. It's like they all got transferred to her daughters. No more gifts, and the worst part is, she doesn't come to my games anymore. It was okay with me before because they still had a spare room in their house, and I could go there when it's time for university. Yesterday, my mom FaceTimed me, and she had the big announcement that she was going to have another baby, and it was a boy, and now she would have 2 special guys. I guess she saw how sour my face was because she asked what's wrong, and I don't know. I just admitted how jealous I was that her daughters got her so much, and now her son was going to get her, and there wouldn't even be space for me there when I had to go to university. And I guess what I said affected her because she started crying and wouldn't stop and had to hang up. My grandparents are mad that I made her upset and think that I don't value them now or something. Jack phoned me, and he's mad because my mum thinks it's a mistake now to have another kid, and also mad at me because he was like, why would I ever think that they wouldn't have a room for me? I feel like I really messed up telling her that, and here I am at school, writing about it on Reddit because I can't stop thinking about it. I just want to know who can afford to have 4 kids in Vancouver these days. Jeez Louise. In the comments, why couldn't you move back once she graduated and started another family? She can't have her cake and eat it too. Unless the grandparents formally adopted him, then he is still her child. She passed the buck completely, and her parents enabled her. Not helped, they enabled the abandonment. It baffles me how people can just leave kids and start completely new families. And now they've decided that he should have suffered in silence so none of the adults are required to feel bad about what they've done. Exactly that. She may cry and incite pity, but you're the victim in this situation, no matter what they tell you. I'm so sorry that she acts so dismissive of your feelings. I don't know why all the adults in your life are blaming you, a child, for your very valid feelings about this. They should be trying to make you feel more comfortable and included, rather than try to smother your genuine feelings. Your mum feels bad because she should. She's in her 30s now. There is no reason why she can't be around you more. There is no reason OP shouldn't be living with his mother. If she's supporting her own family and having kids, the grandparents' time of raising OP should be over now. I question why OP's mum doesn't have him living with her. I was surprised when mum finished college that she didn't move her son into her home. No wonder he feels neglected. I feel like Jack played a big role in why he is not living with them. It's horrible when new parents don't accept children from previous relationships and treat them with love and respect. I understand that the children must also treat the new partner with love and respect, but adults are adults and children are children. Some adults don't have maturity, and so many stepchildren feel unloved. Jack wonders, why would you ever think they wouldn't have room for you via FaceTime from a different house in a different city where you don't live? They've made it clear for your whole life that they haven't had room for you, and you deserve better. This is what baffled me. Why the F don't they have room for him now? Why doesn't he get to live with them? Why didn't he before the daughters were born? Why did they not take OP to Vancouver once they had graduated? How insanely hurtful. Jack can kick rocks, and Mum can stay feeling guilty because she knows she's in the wrong. And now, onto the update. An update to how things went over the weekend. So, I posted on Friday at school, and when I came home, my mum and Jack and their kids were already there talking to my grandparents. As soon as my mum saw me, she gave me such a big hug, she actually lifted me up for a second, which is weird because I'm taller than her now, and then wouldn't stop kissing me on the face and telling me that she loves me. I said hi to everyone, and my grandparents had my mum take me into my room to talk to me alone. In my room, she told me that she was sorry that I felt like she'd been paying me less attention and that a new baby isn't going to replace me, and I'd always be her special guy. I started crying, so we weren't able to talk until I calmed down, and then Jack came in and joined us. I just admitted that I felt like I wasn't that important to my mum anymore, and if they were having a boy, then there would be no point in them taking me when it's time for university. And then Jack left because he kind of started crying hearing me say that, and that was weird. My mum told me that she wanted to take me when I was 13 and going into high school because she thought that that was the best time to do it. Except, she argued with my grandparents about it a lot, and they said that it was best if I stayed with them. Then, when my mum took me to a game, she saw how much fun I was having with my friends and thought that they were right. When I said that I wanted to go to SFU, she and Jack were happy because it meant that I would be with them when I graduated. When I asked about the spare room that was meant to be mine, she admitted that they hadn't thought about what would be the baby's room and would have to figure something out since they aren't giving up my room. My mum told me that she'd come and take me every weekend because she said that it was wrong that she started paying less attention to me, but thought that it was okay because I was independent and had my grandparents. She said that she wanted me to spend my breaks with them as well. I don't want to leave my high school, but my mum said that I could do that for my grad year if I wanted to move in with them earlier. I did have a talk with Jack too, and he told me that he was glad that I confessed everything and that his parents got mad at me for not telling him that when he called me. We did all have a fun weekend together, except my grandparents, because they don't leave the house because of COVID, and I do want weekends to keep being like that. In the comments, so proud of you, OP. You advocated for yourself and spoke about your feelings and needs, which is not an easy thing to do. You also spoke about your future thoroughly and were able to plan what's best for you. I'm happy for you, and I'm glad that they had this much-needed wake-up call. I also love that Jack's parents handed him a reality check. Him crying might just be because he is upset at himself and feeling guilty. No way to know for sure unless he says it. But one thing for sure is, they all love you very much and care about you and your well-being. I can't wait for you to enjoy SFU with them and be a great big brother and a role model to your little brother. It's really special to see them grow up, and he will love you loads and look up to you. OP replies, I've always loved Jack's parents. They went to school with my oldest aunt, so they've always been close to our family and always get me the best gifts for Christmas. They didn't say, but I'm pretty sure they're the ones who told Jack to buy me a PS5 for my birthday. I'm so happy for you, and really hope they keep their word. The fact you say their kids instead of your sisters or half-sisters broke my heart. I have a half-sister myself and always saw her as my sister even though there's been hard phases and she was gone for pretty long times when I was a child. Don't mean that you should feel like that too, but the fact that you don't see them as any kind of sisters is really, really sad. I hope for the three of you that you'll be able to bond and can build a relationship. And OP replies, I don't know why I do that. I didn't even think about it as I wrote it like that. I know they're my sisters, but I guess I didn't really think about them like that. Hopefully you're right and we'll all become close. I'm starting to think that there may be something your grandparents don't want you to know. They went against your mother taking you back when you were 13. Why would they do that? And what's the issue with the grandparents getting angry about you asking about your father? There are some secrets. You are more than old enough to know them. And OP replies, I don't really care about asking my dad. I could have asked my mum about him a long time ago, but I don't think that it's important, and all it's going to do is make her sad. Seems like a lot of grief could have been prevented if the adults had asked him if he wanted to remain with grandparents or to go with mum, or even at the least explain to him the reasoning behind him not going. Crazy how simple questions in communication can solve most of these problems posted here.